stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash.
I'm old school, Beretta, eye on the sparrow. I told you, make moves, nigga, stack the dinero. Kings make the world go round, you better get some. I don't know about you, me, I'm a prince. I use the digital circuitry to circulate this currency. Move it with urgency, cause it's strangers trying to murder me. Prefer I be in my grave while they out searching, celebrating with my coins.
Yeah, it's your boy Crypto Blood. Welcome to another episode, Off the Chain episode 28. I got my guy Phil Kennedy on as guest co-host tonight. It's gonna be a good one, people. I want to get your opinion on all this stuff we're talking. We're gonna be going through Bitcoin, PlusToken scam, moving some more Bitcoin around. We've already seen a drop in Bitcoin's price. I think it had a big influence on the price of Bitcoin dropping from 13,000 earlier. Was it earlier this year or late last year with the PlusToken situation? So we're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna talk about the Fed historic emergency 50 basis point rate cut. It's only been seen a few number of times in the past. 9/11, 08 crisis. So this is huge. They see something. I think I know a little bit about what they're seeing. I'm not gonna act like I'm on the inside about it. I'm just listening to some smart people in there, and I kind of agree with what they're talking about with the Fed. So we'll take a look at that, and of course, we will be looking at coronavirus, people. A lot of people on Twitter saying I'm overblowing it, and I'm gonna break it down. I got Phil. He's gonna bring his 2 Satoshis in on it as well. We're gonna start here in a second, people. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, please, for us.
Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin.
Nathaniel Graham, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. Grinch, what's good, man? Thanks for joining in. Crypto Blizzy, that's right, man. What's going on? Fat Breezy. We'll get started here in a second. If you guys want to call in, the number is on the screen. More than welcome to. And I want you to stick around too tonight, because I actually have a person on the ground in Texas. He's got some information he wants to share with us tonight regarding the coronavirus and kind of the situation on the ground. He's got some information he wants to share with us. So a friend of his, I think his wife's friend, is a virologist. So he's got some information that was communicated to he and his wife, and he wanted to bring us or tell me about it, and I said, yeah, I'm doing a live stream tonight, man, so definitely call in, so he's going to call in tonight as well. So stick around for that call. Stick around for that. Caribbean Crypto, Ill Cryptnatic, what's going on? We'll get started here in a second.
We pulled up, sipping on this drink, bitch, I know the way. We juice up, till it's JFK like Jerufa. Coin daddy bout them chips, nigga, rap snacks. Face all in a box, nigga, Snapchat. Fucking with the ops to get you clapped that. No cap, nigga, backpack.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin,
Fuck it.
Litecoin.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Okay. Ready?
Fucking thing sucks. We'll do it live.
Okay. Yes. We are doing it live, people. What's good? Oh man, I can't even say hope you guys doing well, because I'm concerned, people. I'm really concerned. We'll get into the details about why I'm concerned. But I'm glad to have all of you here tonight with me. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. I've got a special guest co-host tonight. I like to switch it up. He's been on before. Very intelligent guy. Knows about finance. I've been on his show. I want you guys to welcome Phil Kennedy. What's good, Phil? How are you, man?
I'm good, CB. Thanks for having me back on, man. It was a pleasure to be on last time. Here in your arena for ideas. I know that some people were a little surprised by my rhetoric and my deeply held personal beliefs, but that's okay, right? We need to hear different points of view. Otherwise, we never really stretch ourselves, whether it be politically, intellectually, economically, things like that. So that's what I'm here for, and I'm glad to be invited back on, CB. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm all about dialogue. I'm all about having a conversation, not agreeing with everything. We don't have to agree at all. Honestly, I think I learn more when I have dialogue and conversations with people that I don't agree with, because then I can pitch my thoughts in a better way, and then I can hear those people's opinions about things. So I'm always glad to have that. And I know I have people on Twitter. If you guys follow me on Twitter, it's CryptoBlood_. That's where I'm most active. Phil is pretty active over there too. But I know I have some followers that I get into it with. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just voicing my opinion. And so I hope people out there who follow me don't take it too much to heart. It's just my personality. I'm very opinionated, man. So I'm going to definitely tell you how I feel. So I expect people to tell me how they feel as well. So we're going to get into it tonight. Shout out to Crypto Don Juan. Thanks for joining in last week, Crypto Don Juan. That was epic. Last week was crazy. John Hill, crazy last week, man. I'm glad you guys called in. Caribbean Crypto. He said the markets are dumping. Crypto markets are definitely dumping. We'll talk about that, I guess, out the gate, Phil. If you guys want to call in, 669-900-6833, and the code is 169-861-119. You see it on the screen. So Phil, you're more than welcome to call in, guys, if you want to. But Phil, how can they find you, man? Just before we get started, I want people to definitely check you out.
Yeah, thanks. They can find me over on Twitter at Kennedy Finance. Also on YouTube, just put in Philip Kennedy Finance. You can find me there. I've got like 600 videos now, lots of roundtables on crypto, gold, sound money, free markets, real economics, all that different kind of thing. We also even have a couple music videos that are a little edgy.
Bad on not getting on that one, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's okay, man.
On that. Dang.
We've all got busy lives, and frankly, I didn't want anyone to think it was necessarily their cup of tea. You know, I asked a bunch of different people, and it kind of pokes fun at California to Biggie's going back to Cali. So I got that pinned if folks want to check that out.
I tell you this, Ken, Phil, it's I'm definitely not trying to go back to Cali right now.
Well, why would you, man? I mean, it's like a post-apocalyptic third world hellhole. I mean, it's just horrible, being run into the ground by their politicians. It's every bit our Venezuela. In fact, that's the lyric that we've got in there. And you have to blame their local government officials. You have to put the onus on them. It's their fault.
Yes. Democratic government officials primarily.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, I know you like to remain kind of politically agnostic on your
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'll let it be known, bro. No,
all right.
Sir.
All right. Well, that's just on my show.
That's on your show.
It's no joke. I mean, you know me. You know I lean right.
I did.
Frankly, I got a picture of Ron Paul behind me, so everybody knows where I'm coming from. But yeah, I mean, when you think you can vote for a free lunch, this is what you end up with. So it's
I actually thought you were liberal. I thought you leaned left, but I couldn't tell because, like, on your show, you're very you're nonpartisan. You try to keep it straight down the middle. It's funny. Yeah.
Well, I think if you're opposed to war in our modern day political arena, people assume, well, you must be a Trump supporter. And the reality is, you can't be on a team. You got to think for yourself. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. That's why, maybe there's some folks in your audience who really, they may not support everything Ron Paul believes in, but they might say, you know what, I've heard some stuff that guy says, and he makes some sense sometimes. And that's really the chord we want to strike in the hearts of a lot of people is to be intellectually honest about specific things. You know, we not only need to end things like the war on drugs, but we should end the war on terror. A lot of people have been hurt by both those things. And if you can kind of speak from the heart, honestly, I think that connects with a lot of people, and you don't have to necessarily be on a team.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, you know, people probably think, you know, the people I hate, man, not hate. I'm sorry. Hate is a strong word. I don't hate
They
them.
frustrate you.
Yeah. The people that frustrate me are the Trumpers who think he can do no wrong. Now, I'm a Trump supporter, or have been up to this point. Just from a policy standpoint, I like what he came in to do, what he's been trying to do, drain the swamp and all that stuff. Like, I'm really liking what I'm seeing with that. Even the stuff he's doing for African Americans. You know, those who aren't brainwashed in my community can see that. However, you can't just sit up here and say and make excuses for Trump on everything. What he's doing right now with this situation with the coronavirus is not only him, but I'm talking about him in particular, is an absolute nightmare. It's sad, man. And I think he's suffering from some cognitive dissonance or something. I don't know what's going on. He's telling people it's all going to go away tomorrow. Don't worry. Go, you know, you've got Larry Kudlow. He was on CNBC yesterday. I almost threw my coffee at the TV, man, when I saw him on, I don't know if it was Squawk Street.
Squawk Box.
Squawk. Yes, one of the shows
street.
he was on. Yes. And he was like, now everyone, you just need to buy stocks. You just need to go back to work. Everything is fine. Everything is cool. This virus is just similar to the flu. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is going to go down as a watershed moment in America, I believe.
I think you're right. I mean, I'm assuming you saw James Cameron's Titanic, and we can remember the scenes of, you know, they're already taking on water and they're instructing the passengers, go back to your chambers. Mm-hmm. And it's every bit, no matter how much we try to pretend we've learned from history, we learn nothing. And I think they are just trying to keep everyone from entering panic mode. But it looks like this weekend, CB, it's already too late.
It is. It's already too late. We'll get into that here in a second. Let's get into the first subject for tonight, Phil. And that is this PlusToken thing. Scammers are moving more Bitcoin around again. And I'm sorry, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. The last time we saw a lot of movement from this scam project, the biggest Bitcoin or crypto scam project that we've seen. Last time this happened, we saw price of Bitcoin heading lower. That actually marked the high. Believe 14.9 or something like that. So, you know, what are your thoughts about the situation? I mean, look at the chart right now. It's you know, it's been tanking. I mean, we're down from the last high. We're down 4% now, but I'm looking at it from more of a technical standpoint. It looks like we're heading toward 86.65. What are your thoughts about where we are? If I draw a trend line really quickly, I mean, you can see we broke it. We broke it right there. And, you know, I think we may be going lower. What are your thoughts on this? And we'll talk about this PlusToken article from the Bitcoiners in a second, too.
Yeah, well, I think we all, unlike the coronavirus, with regard to crypto, we all just need to calm down a little bit. Okay. I mean, let's take a look at things. Let's zoom out, CB, as they say. Bitcoin up 20% year to date. We got ETH up 80% year to date. Even Litecoin, one of my favorites, up nearly 40%. Bitcoin Cash up 55%. So a lot of reasons to be optimistic. On top of that, if you go to CoinMarketCap, and I know, don't send me hate mail. It's just one kind of useless metric, but the market cap is over 250 billion as of our live show this evening. To me, that's kind of a line in the sand. You know, I almost picture crypto like a spider web. You know, a spider web isn't going to catch every single bug that goes through it. But over time, what we're seeing is dollars are getting caught in this crypto web, and they're not leaving. They're going to stay there permanently because some dude's laptop is sitting in the bottom of a UK landfill with like 1.5 million Bitcoin on it, right? So let's, don't go crazy. Don't do like these 50x leverage trades that I just read about on Twitter. This is a long-term game. Only put money toward it that you can afford to lose. I still think there are plenty of reasons to be optimistic. And with regard to the PlusToken scam, CB, this to me is a feature rather than a bug. I may have brought it up the last time I was on your show, but remember after the Mt. Gox hack, some brilliant minds put together this graphic of where all the coins went, all the different wallets, and it was beautiful. It was like a work of art. It almost looked like, the Fibonacci artwork that you see sometimes, just so perfect how everything moved. And to me, sure, there are a lot of fraudsters in this space, and it's disgusting, and it hurts if you end up getting scammed by one. But the reality is the same thing's going on in your nice, safe 401k because, of the Fed and the plunge protection team and all the powers that be and all the ways they're able to manipulate that market. So at least with crypto, there's some semblance of transparency due to the open, decentralized ledger. So this is a short-term thing. I don't think it's any cause for alarm. And really, we just need to focus on the long-term prospects of Bitcoin and crypto.
Why do you think, in relation to Bitcoin and the traditional markets, what are your thoughts about how it has behaved with that? Are you surprised that it isn't going up, that there's a negative correlation with equities and crypto right now? Are you shocked at that, or is this something that doesn't bother you?
Yeah, I'll be candid. I was communicating with our mutual friend RL there over Twitter DMs. And I did tell him the other night, I'm a little surprised and slightly concerned that when the Asian markets seem to go down, that Bitcoin and crypto in general has not been a flight to safety. And, Peter Schiff didn't take any time at all to get on his high horse and remind us of that. But, again, I showed that chart. I'll pull it up one more time.
Yep.
Year to date, stock market's down like 8%. We got Bitcoin up 20%. So it is a non-correlated asymmetric asset still.
Right. It's so when you're talking about, I agree with you. It being non-correlated means that sometimes it will correlate with that particular asset that you're comparing it to, and sometimes it won't. That's what non-correlated means. It's near zero. And I agree with you. I think that's where we are. Do you think, though, in a situation where things really get real out here, do you see, let's say I'm talking about like stock market shutting down type of scenario, or how you have those gap down limiters, they'll stop the market because it's dropping too much.
Right.
Do you see Bitcoin, when do you see, I guess is my question, do you see Bitcoin becoming that flight to safety? When do you see that happening?
I mean, to be flippant, after the last weak hand is shaken out, I mean, really, that's when where I see the bottom. Nobody really knows where that is, unfortunately, but that's why we only put money in this space that we can afford to lose. The great Rick Rule, he's been on my show before from the mining stock sector. He's like, look, if you're betting on silver mining stocks, you need to be prepared to lose 50% to make 1,000%. And I think the same is true for crypto. I mean, if your audience, if you're making more than $32,000 a year, you got to keep things in perspective. You're in the top global 1%. So whatever little money you have left over that you're able to put toward crypto, be prepared to lose half and still have a smile, be able to put a smile on your face. Right. Yeah. I've been there. I put way too much in. I tried to buy the dips during 2018 and I just kept buying the dips. And I think I told UCB the most expensive Satoshi I ever bought was like when Bitcoin was around 15,000. So, I'm a guy who puts his money where his mouth is, but I was also buying when we made our Bitcoin music video under 4K. So over time, I think we're all going to be sitting pretty, and it's just a matter of not getting overly excited when the rest of the market is excited too.
No doubt. I agree with you there. I think, and I've told my audience many times before, Phil, expect Bitcoin to move down. If we really get into a situation where there are massive layoffs, which I think are coming. 10 Pound is in the house. Thanks for joining in. We'll get him in here in a second. If we have massive layoffs, bro, I see crypto markets taking a hit. And you have to be prepared for that, simply because if you're working somewhere and you got some crypto bags, you're going to need to liquidate those crypto bags at some point just to keep afloat. So I think you're going to see a move down to shake out weak hands, and then that massive move up in crypto. So that's kind of my take on it. And, I think that's the way we're going to go with it.
Yeah, no, I agree, CB. I just think, though, that Bitcoin potentially could reach an all-time high before gold could reach its all-time high. Gold's only like $300 away.
Really? You think that?
Yeah, I do, because we got the halving approaching. We could get another mania. I mean, look what just happened with Litecoin last year. I mean, Litecoin went up nearly 400%. And obviously didn't go back to a new all-time high, but got well over $100, up to $140. In my opinion, Bitcoin could, I'm not saying it's better than 50%, but I think there's potential there for it to hit a new all-time high this year. It's all about sentiment, right? Once the crypto markets get going in a particular direction, it's hard to stop. And that unfortunately cuts both ways. But if we start getting some momentum and we shake out weak hands and the crypto market's going up while global stock market is falling, maybe we will see a new Bitcoin all-time high and a new all-time high in market cap.
Interesting. Okay, well, you guys in the chat room, let us know. Do you think Bitcoin will hit an all-time high before gold? I disagree. I think gold being $300 away will most likely catch that before Bitcoin. But it's a no-brainer. Bitcoin is the best asset to invest in my opinion, over the next 5 years. It's not even it's not even an argument. I can't even have a conversation with you. I think that definitely is still the best asset to be in. It's going to be volatile. You better be ready for it, but it will definitely be the best. Someone in the comments asked, was BitConnect a bigger Ponzi scheme than PlusToken? It actually wasn't, man. PlusToken had over 200,000 Bitcoins amassed from its operation. I said this before, and that's just Bitcoin. It also amassed some Ethereum, some EOS, and some other altcoins. But seeing the how big this Ponzi scheme got, I believe it was a government agency, some type of government some type of operation,
North Korea or something.
Yeah, that was able to get it's just no way a couple of people were able to amass 200,000 Bitcoin and keep this thing going. That's crazy. That's what is that, like over $1 billion? Let me see.
Can you imagine opening your wallet and seeing 200,000 Bitcoin in there?
That's crazy. That is crazy, man. So, yeah, that's where we are right now, people. I think it's having an effect on the markets right now. Yet again, we broke that trend line, as you guys can see. And I think we may touch this area of 84.65 again. We'll have to see. You guys let me know how you feel about where we are with Bitcoin right now. Are you shocked that Bitcoin is not outperforming? It's still outperforming. As Phil said, it's up 20% year to date. But in this small window right now, do you feel like Bitcoin should have been doing a little bit better than it is? Let us know definitely in the comments. I see that 10 Pound jumped off. I don't know where he went. Maybe he'll come back. But let's talk about the Fed, man. Wow. 50 basis point cut this week.
Yeah.
Surprise cut out of nowhere. There were hints that it was going to happen last weekend. It didn't happen. They did it in the middle of the week, I think. Man, the market's reaction was up initially, like maybe for about 20 minutes. And then it slammed. It went down, closed near its lows. I think that was like a $900 point in the red day for the Dow. Is the Fed in a corner, man? Has the luster? Have they lost their luster with these Fed cuts? And I don't know if we'll talk about this article here. Another 75 basis points, possibly in 2 weeks. But let me know your thoughts about the Fed and this cut they did this week.
Well, does anybody really trust the Fed? I haven't since 2008. I mean, really, when I started becoming vocal in this industry. There's no real reason to trust these guys. They don't know anything more than you, me, or anyone in the audience. Sure, they have nice degrees from Ivy League schools, and maybe they have nicer suits and better beards and better haircuts.
That just creates more hubris, in my opinion.
Exactly. And so is that really who you want in charge of this financial cruise ship while we're already at sea? I mean, it's like someone said, they decided to take off and now they're out on the wing with a roll of duct tape trying to fix things midair. They have no credibility whatsoever, CB. I outlined this in my free ebook, Financial Judo. Folks can download on philipkennedy.com with Philip with 1L Kennedy.com. Just go through there, peruse it. And I got a whole, if you don't even want to read the whole book, you can just read my chapter on the Fed. It's hard to best the great Peter Schiff on this particular topic. He said, look, they've unleashed the Roach Motel of monetary policies. Once you go down this path, you can't leave. You can't turn around. You're stuck. And they've been managing expectations. The similarities between our financial policy and our coronavirus policy are just kind of astounding. They've been managing perception for over a decade. Mm-hmm. And slowly but surely, as a result of shows like yours, people are starting to get it. Hey, these guys don't have it figured out. They don't know any better than I do. So they're going to take the road that appears to be easiest or most politically expedient at any given time. And I joked when they did their 50 basis point cut the other day, if the Fed was a parent, they would feed their child candy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner just to appease them. And that's all they are. They're not independent. Jerome Powell looks great. But, for all we know, CB, he could be an actor who just reads off a script. And they pay him exorbitant amount of money to look good. Don't trust these guys. They have no idea what they're doing.
I agree. And, the question is, and George, my man George in the chat room, he says they're out of bullets. Are they really out of bullets? Can they? And it's been floating around already. I heard it this week. They're talking about possibly extending their purchasing operations into other asset classes, i.e. stocks possibly. First, corporate bonds, I believe. I think that's under their purview. I think they can do that right now. Legally, I believe. But they can't legally buy stocks right now under their federal act, whatever, they make up.
When has that prevented them from doing anything illegal, right? With the plunge protection team, who knows? We're just the little people. These guys, they do whatever it takes. They'll smash the price of gold to make the alternatives look bad. By the way, on my Twitter handle the other day, I always like kind of illustrating absurdity by being absurd. And I put a photo of Powell looking at his ammunition. These are their bullets. And this is what they're up against, man. It's like a zombie apocalypse out there, and they're staring at 4 bullets. They got 4 bullets left for, this massive balance sheet. Interest rates at 0% for over a decade. They're in serious trouble, man. That's why it's time for Plan B.
Yeah, but dude, they couldn't even wait till the March meeting.
I know.
To get cracking with the cuts, man. It's like it's that bad. It literally is that bad. So the thing I want to show people really quickly, if you guys, I'm assuming most of you are kind of financially savvy, or at least follow it, a little bit. But the 10-year Treasury note, 0.773. I saw it, Phil. I saw it with my own eyes hit 0.689, I think.
Yeah.
On Friday. If they do another 75 basis points cut, that pretty much puts us at near zero. No, that's at zero, right? Yeah. That would be at zero. We'll be literally at the zero bound. Without. We're here.
That's when Jamie Dimon needs to pay me to live in my house.
Jamie Dimon probably had a heart attack because he can't believe where we are. I don't know if you guys heard, but Jamie Dimon had emergency surgery. Hope he recovers. I'm not one of those types of people, but he had an emergency surgery on Thursday or Wednesday, I believe. And, he probably sees what's going on. So this is what I'm hearing, though, Phil. I'm hearing that the Fed is doing a cut. I see 10 pound now. I got you plugged in now, bro. The Fed is doing a cut, or they did a 50 basis point cut, Phil, this week because of corporate bonds. I'm hearing that corporate bond yields are blowing out. They're going to the moon. And so I'm hearing word on the street is that we'll see some defaults from some major companies. I'm not sure who, maybe airlines, maybe cruise ships. Don't know, but that's what I'm hearing, man. I'm hearing the 50 basis point was not for necessarily the stock market, but for the debt market. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's probably so. I mean, we've got a Frankenstein economy. We've had artificially low rates for over 10 years. I mean, to put it in perspective, you really always zoom out, folks. This economy seems normal to me and you because this is all we've ever known. But the reality is these rates are rates for a sick economy, not a healthy economy.
Right.
And there's a price for everything. We kind of take it for granted, but think about you pay a price for a car or you pay a price for an iPhone or whatever. Everything's got a price. Money needs to have a price. When money doesn't have a price,
it's over.
Then it sends false signals to the market. And then you end up with all these terrible projects. I'm not going to name any specific because I don't want to offend anybody in your audience.
Come on, Phil. Keep it real, Phil.
There's a specific automaker out there that supposedly has a market cap higher than 7 of the world's largest companies and produces 1% of the number of vehicles.
You couldn't possibly be talking about Tesla.
I am, man. I'm sorry.
You couldn't possibly be talking about Tesla.
I am. And here's the thing and I'll put on my Austrian hat, for anybody who knows a little bit about Austrian economics, the interest rate's a big deal because it's the basis of Austrian business cycle theory. When you have artificially low rates, they send a false signal to the market. They tell businessmen, hey, there's a lot of savings in the marketplace. You can go out and speculate on these projects. You can create something like a SpaceX. You can create a boring company. People want to buy these flamethrowers. And the reality is there's no real demand for these products. And so what ultimately happens is when rates go up, these projects fail. And it's 2008 redux, housing market collapse, stuff like that all over again. But even worse, because we put Americans on this, financial lithium or whatever for over a decade. So they don't even know what it feels like to operate in a normal economy. And so, I didn't want to pick on Tesla, but you made me. So I did.
Yeah, and my man Crypto Don Juan said, if they go negative interest rates, will they pay me for my mortgage? I'm not sure that's how it works, but this is the thing that is maybe a misconception to many people. When you had negative interest rates, banks actually don't like that. They lose money on a negative interest rate. And so really the Fed they're stuck right up against the wall because the whole point of going zero is to help mitigate some of the stresses that the economy may be pulling on some of these banks. To go negative will only hurt them even more. So they are literally between a rock and a hard place at this point. So it's over, man. It literally, like, we've been talking about this for years. I've been talking about this for years and years, and we are literally now at the end. And it couldn't come any. Look, it's coming right at the confluence of this and the coronavirus. It's like coming right, perfect storm, black swan event, boom. You know, it's happening all at one time, and maybe the coronavirus is the catalyst for this to finally be the death blow. You know what I mean? For this all to end in a bad way. Let me get 10 Pound in here really quickly and see what he has to say. 10 Pound, what's going on, bro?
I completely agree with everything you just said. And in fact, Keynesian economists are kind of, I'd say, ill-minded to believe that this is healthy at all. You know what I mean? Like, they're just literally delusional at this point. If they think that the Fed can take it into negative interest rates and keep the game going much longer, it's just stupid. But that's not the reason why I called in. I actually want to talk about the coronavirus and the autopsy that recently came out from.
Come on, man. You're jumping the gun. You're jumping the gun.
No, I'm not jumping the gun, man. You brought it up, bro. You brought it up.
You're jumping the gun.
Bro, you brought it up. You were about to segue to it and everything, my guy. You know you were.
My friend.
You know you're about to segue to it, bro. Yo, you mentioned the whole perfect storm and everything, dude. Like, seriously.
All right. So go ahead, man. Go ahead.
All right.
You taking over the
show.
show.
I'm not. Yeah, like I always do, man.
Let me make you the executive producer. Go ahead.
Oh, snap. So when it comes down to it, my guy, like Miami canceled an Ultra Music Festival that happens every single year, right? For this year specifically because of the coronavirus threat and the risk, because of course they do have confirmed cases. They don't want this blown out of proportion. But China recently put out an autopsy of a man's lungs that they literally, extracted from his body and replaced with another pair of lungs. And it was bronze and covered in blood, man. Yeah, man, this virus is literally choking people out. Like, literally.
What's happening is, you're right. You bring up a good point. What's happening is the virus is creating scar tissue, permanent scar tissue in the patient's lungs. This is not the flu, bro.
At all.
This is not the flu.
This is a weapon. This is a weapon designed to kill. Like, yo, this is getting out of hand.
So you speak about upcoming events, right?
Yep.
Well, I don't know if you heard. I'm sure you have. You're in the music industry. South by Southwest is a done data. They canceled it. First time ever in 34 years, I believe.
Bro, this is the apocalypse, man.
This is not. Listen, people. This is not the flu. Okay. This is not. Now, origin. We can have talks about who did what, where it came from, yada, yada, yada. That's fine. I can, there's room to argue that because none of us know. But to say this is the flu, you don't listen to what they say. You watch what they do. Yeah. You watch what they do. And the reason why I picked up on this virus so early, I think it was late January, I believe mid-January, is because I saw the draconian measures that China was taking.
Yeah.
That's what you look at. That's what scared me.
Yeah, me too.
I know how the Asians in their culture, China's culture is, they're all about productivity. They're all about being first. They're all about beating America at output. They're trying to become number one. They've gone from number 12 to number 2 in GDP in less than 10. Is it been 10 years, Phil? I don't know how. It's been a short span of time. So to see them shut down ports, shut down cities, we're talking about Wuhan, a city of 13 million people. To put that into context, the whole city of California has 20 million people.
The whole state, yeah.
The whole state, has 20 million people.
Wow.
This is not something that is just a flu, guys. This is not just a flu. And I hear people saying that, and one of the buddies on Twitter, I told him I would bring this up, not something to. I'm not trying to rag on him or anything like that at all. I'm just trying to illustrate to people what we have here as far as our cognitive dissonance when it comes to this particular virus. And I think I actually pinned it. I'm not sure. Journey of the Soul put out something. Go ahead, Phil.
Or totally. Wait, excuse me. Before Phil goes, but I thought that you might have given Trump the benefit of the doubt, and quite possibly, you know,
all right over there, bro?
Credit, man.
You all right?
Yo, maybe not. Who knows what's going on, bro?
I think we're on Zoom.
Yo, so clearly, maybe I thought that you might have given Trump the benefit of the doubt and actually some sort of credit, because he did donate, his salary, a portion of his salary.
Man, that don't mean. Listen, that don't mean
towards
nothing,
the R&D, man.
That's all PR. That's posturing. That means nothing.
Bro.
I give Trump one thing. He came out and he got ahead of this, and he actually got blowback from Republicans and Democrats on this. He actually shut down flights from China over this situation, out ahead of it. However, he stopped there. That's where it stopped.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He didn't shut down. We're still allowing people from Italy to come in. We're still allowing people from all other countries to come in here, man.
Yo, speaking of Italy, dude, they are reporting a higher death toll than China, which is proof that there's manipulation in the statistics. It's crazy, man. The Chinese government are suppressing the actual death toll of what's going on over there.
Yeah, Phil, you want to chime in?
Yeah, well, I had this thought the other day. You know, we can almost probably remember where we were when we got the news that Magic Johnson had HIV, right?
Magic with the package.
Magic, you know, he was a celebrity, and I think that's what it finally took to get through the American conscience. You know, we knew that HIV and AIDS was a problem, but until someone we knew from watching them, you know, on the court for so long, right, perform, you know, it's like, you know, Kobe just passed away, and for a lot of people, that was something that really hurt, because you almost feel a connection to a celebrity when you've watched them for so long. So the same is true for Magic. And now we're finding out that the Pope is sick.
Come on, man.
And
Cryptodamus tweeted that right when he started coughing. I said, he's got it.
Yeah, I'm concerned that he has it, and the Pope isn't a young buck like you, me, and 10 pound. And
he actually only has one lung.
Oh man, he's done for. Oh, dude,
he has one lung. I found that out.
Oh man, dude, this is all. That's gonna be a bombshell for the church.
But you bring up a great point, Phil. That is it. It's going to take, and I said this earlier today. I said it's going to take a politician, in our system, which I think someone does. I'm not going to say anything. I don't want the feds or anyone coming after me, but I think it's going to take a politician, a celebrity, someone like that who we feel is kind of invincible to get this and get sick.
That's right.
For us to really, really take this seriously. Now, this is not the end of the world, people. This is not the end of the world. Okay, I'm not saying that. And most people won't die. We'll talk about that as well. I have a tweet that's going to break this down. This tweet is so dope.
Bro,
I hope you guys get this tweet, but
dude,
go ahead.
I don't know, man. Best case scenario, 15 million people die, bro. You know, Bill Gates actually ran a simulation of this virus, man. And he actually saying that it's about 65 million people dying. I mean, in a world of billions of people, come on, it's not that bad. Yeah, exactly. But still, bro, this is going to send a rippling effect with the economy, though, man. It's going to be disrupting entire supply chains, which are already disrupted. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get into. I was talking to someone else on Twitter as well. It's the knock-on effects that is, to me, more concerning. So what I mean by that is if our healthcare system is inundated by all of these coronavirus patients, guess what? A person that just had a car accident or is dealing with cancer or dealing with diabetes, they won't be able to get treated because every bed got a coronavirus victim.
Yeah. Actually, in China, they're kicking people out that don't have coronavirus just to treat the coronavirus. People are actually at a higher risk of dying from the coronavirus if they have cancer or any other condition as well. So yeah,
Let
crazy.
me just pull this tweet up. My man Journey of the Soul said, it's time to report flu deaths, cancer deaths, and deaths by suicide on a daily basis. Compared to COVID-19, I'm not a sheep. It's being pushed too damn hard by Mockingbird MSM media. Just take Lipo vitamin C, he says. Now, and I saw someone in the chat room. They also said something about Kaleida Silver. Take that, you'll be fine. Listen, this is a novel virus. What that means is it has never been in the wild. You can't tell me to take vitamin C or any silver, because we've never. You don't know. No scientists. These are unproven remedies. Okay, so we gotta just be careful and be a little bit more. Less ignorant about that situation. This is a new virus in the wild. It's never been in the wild. So this is all new. We don't know what's going to work. So we just got to keep that in mind, people. And it's not, like I said, I'm not ragging on him. It's all of us. We all suffer from cognitive dissonance. You know, we don't want to believe certain things are happening. And this is happening. This is definitely happening. Let me get this caller in real quick, and then I've got the caller. I don't know if he wants to be revealed his name, but I've got another caller online who's going to talk to us about some I guess someone in Texas that's got some on the ground news about what's going on with this virus. But let me first get this one caller here. Caller on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood.
Hello.
What's going on?
Doing?
Good.
So, I'm going to talk about the coronavirus a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, you're talking already. And the effect on the economy. If you think about it, like if it stopped today, really the economy is going to suffer tenfold. You know, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be horrible. I was looking up the top 10 countries affected by the coronavirus make up 60% of the GDP of the world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So at the end of the day, how are they going to recover? How's all that going to recover? You know, and it's not going to happen the second it ends. It's going to be ripples through the economy for months, maybe years.
Yeah, I agree, man. Again, those are the knock-on effects that people aren't thinking about. Like, I'm not saying 90% of the people are going to die. Like, literally 3% of the people may die of our population. That's a lot of people, but in percentage-wise, no, it's not a lot of people. However, like you said, the economic impact of it is going to be something that we've never seen in modern history before. And what does that look like? We're so levered on derivatives and debt and rehypothecation, this and that, and it's all intertwined, bro. Like, what is a stop to world GDP look like?
I don't. Everybody just is too busy. I don't know. I just don't understand people's mindset. I guess when I listen to people when I'm out in public and when I listen to, or go on Twitter and see the comments that people make, it's like it's just I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, like you look at Italy. Italy's the second ranked healthcare system in the world.
Yes, good point. Yes, good point.
And we're not 37. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Oh, man.
Yeah, like,
yeah, dude.
So I was on Twitter with you. I'm have the hunger for knowledge tag.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's going on, man?
But like, people are funny on there. Like, just
it's bad. It's bad, bro.
We just had on Friday. We had 5 schools closed down out of the blue. I'm down in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. Just no cases, no nothing, but the schools are closed down. Like, why are all these reactions to these things happening, and people are just
on
like,
the ground level, right? At the ground level, not on MSNBC or CNN or not there, not on CNBC. That's not happening. It's on the ground, right?
And like, when's the last time they had the Fed reacted like that's a flu? Never, right? We never did a 50-point cut for the flu. And all these people that are like, okay, it's just a flu, but yet we pass a bill for $8 billion to help fight it. And if you think it's just a flu and it's a hoax, why are you not demanding a refund? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand the logic. Like, if your logic is, why are you not questioning why we're spending all this money? You know, we're wasting money everywhere. I mean, I have a hard time with it.
Do you know we are in the bill that just passed, the $8.3 billion bill that Trump just signed, right? By the way, which was hilarious. He's sitting there like, well, I asked for 2.5. They gave me 3. Hey, I'll take it. He starts signing the bill. I'm like, this guy Trump is a fool. But why did they allocate $1.2 billion to foreign aid?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to be worrying about ourselves here, because we out of order here. We need to be worried about. We need all the money that we can take. That's how crazy we are right now, bro.
We give foreign aid to Israel, right? But they rank 19th on the healthcare ranking, so they're
higher than us.
Yeah, and we're giving. That makes no sense. We're like the upside down world.
Crazy, man. Crazy. And I'm not sitting over here, people, on a high horse, man. I'm prepared to contract this virus. That's how it's gonna be. It's that real, people. Like, it's no way to stop it. It's aerosol. That's another thing they're not telling you. It's airborne. It's not just droplet. It's airborne. So all this washing my hands and doing the elbow and the kick, the Wuhan kick, all that is pretty. That's pretty, but that's not going to stop you from catching this virus, people. So
I was reading how they think it went through some pipes in Japan. Like
just like SARS-1. Yeah, just like SARS-1 did. Yeah, it spread like that.
This was and then you had, like, it's so politicized. Like, people need to, like, the mask thing, like, not telling people not to wear masks. Like,
we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that one, buddy.
I don't understand it. Like, and you know, with like I said, with how politicized, there's people right now that are like, if Trump went and jumped off the bridge in front of them, I swear they just follow him. You know, and that's that's what
I'm saying. Like, I'm a Trump supporter, but the hardcore Trumpers are no better than the hardcore Bernie or whatever people. Like, you gotta call an ace or a spade. You gotta call it, man, how it is, and he's not taking this seriously, and it's no way you can spin this. He's telling people to stay on the cruise ship to keep the numbers down for the United States. Yeah. Stuff like that. It's insane.
Yeah. It makes no sense. And he's the leader of the country, the richest country in the world.
Man, my conclusion is that we've become morally bankrupt, man. We want to save economy over human lives. You know what I'm saying? That's where we've gotten, and it's exposed that part of America, man. And it's not even just America though, bro. It's Western. If you peep it, it's Western civilizations. It's Canada. Canada's no better than us. They're allowing Iranians over there. Not just Italians. They're allowing Iranians, Italians. They're telling people, don't wear masks like us. This is a travesty, man. Like, I can't believe they're telling people not to wear masks.
I don't understand. I'm conspiracist, and you know, it's almost like they want the depopulation thing. You know, it's almost like it makes you wonder. You know, are they doing this intentionally? Like, is this happening, or is it just much?
The reason why I don't think it's intentional is because the virus is a threat is a danger to everyone. I just read this. I don't think I have this in queue, Phil, because this just came up before we got on. There was a meeting. Let me see if I have this. I don't think I have this. There was a meeting last week where Vice President Pence, Mike Pompeo, and a few other higher level politicians were I think, in Israel. And 2 people from that event caught the COVID, were tested. So now, listen, this thing is so, the R naught for this thing is so high. Now they're saying numbers of 4.4 to 7. So I guarantee you, if 2 people in that audience of 8,000 had it, it's a very high possibility that our vice president has it. It's a very high possibility that Mike Pompeo has it. Or one of the 2.
They're not talking about is that people are walking around without the symptoms and are contagious.
No, they're not talking about that. They're ignoring that fact of it. Yep. Yeah. They're ignoring that fact.
It's a big deal. I mean, some of these people have been tested like 6-7 times. The tests come up negative, and then the 7th time it comes up positive. So that person's walking around with a false sense of security, thinking they're fine. How many people is that person going to infect? I mean, it's just how do we not have tests? How do we not have tests that work? You know, you think as far as, you know, medicine is advanced, we would be able to do this very quickly. But I guess not.
I have an answer to that, CB.
Yep, go ahead, man.
Well, the reality is, and thanks for the caller.
Very good call. Thanks for calling in, for sure.
I agree with him on nearly everything he said, with the exception of one important thing. The United States is not the richest country in the world. We're the biggest debtor in the world. We have
so it looks like we're the richest.
Right. And we're no different than a family who's got, you know, the Escalade, maybe 2 sitting in the driveway. Right. But those things are leveraged to the hilt. If dad suddenly gets laid off, the whole thing just comes down like a house of cards.
That's right.
And if we hadn't spent the last 20 years bombing poor people in the Middle East, we might have a lot more wealth to our names. But unfortunately, we've spent a lot of money wasted in the Middle East on things like this U.S. military unused building in Afghanistan for $34 million. You know, you piss enough money away, you start talking about real money. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have a few billion or maybe $1 trillion to put towards more hospital beds and things like that? I mean, that's why we don't have the best healthcare system in the world. We've been too busy taxing our citizens for endless war. So we're an insolvent nation. We're broke. And we're broke. Really, just like 9/11 revealed that the .com bubble had gotten too big, the coronavirus is going to reveal that the government bubble got way too big. And there are a lot of similarities between those 2 bubbles. I'd like to point them out in the Dow Gold ratio. I know charts and stuff don't resonate with everybody in the audience, but you know, it was back in May 2011, the Dow Gold ratio peaked out. Boom, September 11th happens. We go through a recession. You know, Dow Gold falls all the way down to 7. And, you know, that was the bottom of that recession. Pumped all the way to 22 in September 2018. We don't see a gray bar here, folks, but I think we've been in a recession for a while, and now the coronavirus is just going to exacerbate.
That's it. Yep. That's it, man. Let me get John B in. He's been holding on for quite some time now. John B is going to give us secondhand information, I think out in Texas, regarding what's going on down there on the ground. John B, how are you tonight?
Hey man, nice to finally get to talk with you after chatting back and forth on Twitter over.
I know you're a longtime follower. I recognize that, and I appreciate the support, man.
Hey, anytime, and you know, if you're going to talk about crypto and cars, I'm going to pretty much be there.
Yeah, he's the guy who's always sending me the car tweets. Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. So, what I wanted to. Is that okay if I start?
Yeah, go ahead. Go jump right in. Absolutely.
All right. Look, luckily, I've had a chance to maintain some good contacts throughout the years, being a bartender and personal trainer and all this kind of stuff. Managed some good relationships. Two quick things that I wanted to tell after I saw your video about the N95 mask. I figured, okay, this guy to me is in the right mindset. He's at least open to hearing the answer, or not, may not be the answer, but what's going on from what I'm getting from people that I really trust and respect. Two things. One of the groomsmen in my wedding, his wife works at the hospital here for a major doctor. Said stock up on Tylenol and Theraflu. Those are going to be two things that you don't want. The second one comes from somebody here in our neighborhood that we've known for quite a while now. The head virologist of a children's hospital here stood up in an impromptu meeting about this and said, listen, folks, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when you get it, you need to have a room in your house that you can self-quarantine someone. You need to wear gloves. They need to wear a mask. You need to wear a mask. And one of the things that they're worried about here in Southeast Texas and the Houston area is they've already started prepping for outside tents and triage areas.
Okay.
So what they're concerned with is having a tropical storm or a hurricane coming on top of that. And if you've watched, I think it was Danielle DiMartino Booth, who was the Fed advisor. Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's not somebody who's going to tweet out conspiracy theories. So no. I believe the other day she retweeted the Twitter account that said something like, we've only got 1 million hospital beds here, folks, and they're already 65% full. So, luckily we started stocking up on food and masks and all that good stuff. But it's, if somebody like with that kind of deal stands up and says, hey, we're going to also start to self-quarantine at 300 Texas cases, then y'all need to take this seriously. And it's just what you said before. Look at what they say, look at what they do, not what they say. They don't close borders and stop flights because of the common flu. Especially
not in China, bro. They are gun-ho. China has a plan, or had a plan. It ain't going to happen now. They had a plan to surpass us. I forgot what they called their plan. I don't know, Phil, if you know about this plan they had, this roadmap to surpass us by 2030 or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Made in China, 2024.
There you go. They are serious about taking over, and they were on the path to do so. But they would not close down the whole country, man. I'm sorry. This is something serious. The numbers out of China are grossly underreported by a magnitude, I think, 15 to 20x. So I think there's more like 1 million people infected or more. I think it's more like 100,000 people dead or more over there. You know what I'm saying? The media is telling us here in America, it's a virus that mostly older people get. Wrong.
I agree, man.
The princess, the ship out in Japan. I don't know. Many people don't know this. 50% of the people that got infected were I think between 20 and 30. So
it's crazy, and they got the one off of San Francisco now.
Oh my God, we're gonna talk about that too, man, if we have time.
Yeah,
complete cluster, man. This is just
that's when and when I sent you that message, it was, hey, I wanted to hold off for a couple weeks because I don't, I figured if I bought masks at $30 and nothing happens, well, I wasted $30. Who cares? But now that we're getting cases here, I figured, okay, let me go ahead and say something because I got a little credence now, and people aren't just going to be like, oh, it's just some guy on Twitter,
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is not fear porn, people, and I'm, I'm not a fearful type of person myself. I'm a logical. I think through things in a logical way. I mean, I have an engineering background, software engineering background, so I think in a more. It's a certain way that if you're in STEM, if you're in science, technology, engineering, if you're in that field, you tend to think a certain way and through things in a certain way. And that kind of brings me to this point about a tweet. And I think this may be the tweet that you're talking about, D. Martini Booth talked about, from Liz Spetch, if I'm saying her name correctly. It's a long thread, but man, is it profound. I think you guys can see this on the screen. I'm going to zoom it in a little bit. But it says here, I think most people aren't aware of the risk of systematic healthcare failure due to the COVID-19 because they simply haven't run the numbers yet. So she says, let's talk and let's do the math. Let's conservatively assume that there are 2,000 current cases in the United States today, March 6th. This is about 8 times the number of confirmed lab diagnosed cases. We know there is substantially under DX due to the lack of test kits. So diagnosed meaning. I'll address implications later under estimations. She says we can expect that we'll continue to see a doubling of cases every 6 days. Here, I mean actual cases. Confirmed cases may appear to rise faster in the short term due to new test kits that are rolling out. She said we're looking at about 1 million U.S. cases by the end of April, 2 million by May 5th, and she says 4 million by May 11th, and so on. It's exponential. I know she says it's hard to grasp, but this is how they go. As the healthcare system begins to saturate under this caseload, it will become increasingly hard to detect, track, and contain new transmission chains. In absence of extreme interventions, this likely won't slow significantly until hitting around 1% of susceptible population. She goes on to say, what does a caseload of this size mean for healthcare systems? Well, examine just 2 factors, hospital beds and masks, among many, many other things that will be impacted. So she says the U.S. has about 2.8 million, I think she means, hospital beds per, she says 2.8 hospital beds per 1,000 people, with a population of 300 million. This is roughly 1 million beds. At any given time, 65% of those beds are already occupied. That leaves about 330,000 beds available nationwide. Let's look at Italy's numbers and assume that about 10% of the cases are serious enough to require hospitalization. In other words, the turnover will be very slow because it takes about 2 weeks to get over this situation. So this is what I mean, people. Like, I'm not saying everyone's going to die. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you have serious conditions, these people are in the hospital in ICU for 2 weeks minimum. So this is not, those beds are being occupied for a long time. And this kind of goes to what John B is saying. They're trying to set up tents down in Texas, in his area. They're setting up tents. You're going to have to do that. Washington State is doing that. They took over some building out there, and they're trying to, set up a kind of like emergency quarantine type of center out there. So, go ahead, John B.
Crypto, can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
It's, talking to my wife and trying to get my brother's head around this as well. And you're seeing it now on, Zero Hedge, which is kind of like, fear porn, so to speak.
It is.
But what I'm worried about is the quarantine. And then I'm worried about my neighbors going and running and grabbing the pasta. And that's what I tried to tell my brother. You're going to eat this stuff anyway. You don't want to be standing in line like when we had Harvey and you got to go get water. And you want to get that water, but you also don't want to get the disease. So go out, stock up your stuff before everybody else does. It reminds me of that scene in Batman where Heath Ledger is leaning over, and the time right now where he just says, it's fear. And once that starts to go and you see your neighbors starting to grab food, you don't want to be trying to follow that. You want to be ahead of that. And you're going to eat it anyway, right? Yeah. Don't go out and buy sushi.
Right.
Be smart, prepare. You don't get it, somebody you will, or somebody that you know will. So you might as well prepare.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, man. It's highly likely that most of us will get it, but it's highly likely that most of us won't die from it. But it's just the point that it's a scary situation, man. In my opinion,
we may already have it, CB. I mean,
you don't know. We don't know.
I've been feeling kind of funny for a week, but
we don't know, man.
Yeah, it might just we're younger guys. Maybe we'll get it. We'll just look back and be like, yeah, I felt kind of funny that week. And now I'm feeling better. But the thing that we probably, as the caller alluded to, the thing that we should probably be more afraid of is panic. I heard someone say on my show once that his grandfather fought in World War II. And he said the scariest thing he ever saw in his life was men in panic. And really, we have a country now of people who are kind of coddled. If we look back to the Depression, folks would line up respectfully for food and the essentials. And now we've got a country where people will literally kill each other over toilet paper at Costco just so they can, stockpile. It's like, well, what good is that going to do? You can't eat toilet paper. Really, the time to panic is well in advance of this stuff. And I've been very vocal. I've had people on my show like James Wesley Rawls and Jerry Robinson, and I even had the two of them on together to talk about preparedness, because you cannot trust our wise overlords to take care of us. I think most everyone already felt that way in the crypto blood audience even before coronavirus. That's why they're investing in Bitcoin.
Right.
But when it comes to the other essentials, there's a great book out there that I read over a decade ago called How to Survive the End of the World as We Know It. And maybe it's a little over the top for your average person, but there's some very basic things in there that everybody can do to get ready for a period of uncertainty. Get a 3 months supply worth of food, have some MREs, have a bucket of wheat, have a water bob so you can fill up your bathtub with fresh drinking water. Just simple stuff. And then, if you really want to take it further, have a family member, who's retired like I do, who lives in the mountains and hills of West Virginia in a full-time retreat where, maybe you put a little money aside. Okay, let's get some solar panels. All right, now let's learn how to create our own drinking water out of the local river and stuff like that. So hopefully, most of us will get through this coronavirus, and then we'll start to think that way, because we do need to become more resilient as Americans. We were founded on self-reliance and rugged individualism, and we've lost our roots. And the caller is really outlining that. So many people are just 2 days away from starvation.
Yeah, man. And, you talked about panic. This is what she made a good point about undeserved panic does no one any good, of course, but neither does ill-informed complacency. It's wrong to assuage the public by saying only 2% will die. People aren't adequately grasping the national and global systematic burden that we're going to be seeing here. So I agree with that. It does no good to be ill-informed, and that's exactly what the government is doing to us right now. Don't wear masks, but then saying that, the health providers need masks. Well, if we don't need masks that will protect us from this virus, why would the health providers need it too? It's contradicting. So, yeah, man. Anything else, John B? Thanks for that info, though. How are you planning on tackling this, man? How are you planning on approaching this?
Yeah, and that's, if I hear anything, I will certainly let you know as well. We started buying food, and it's funny. My boss is a prepper. The guy orders quail eggs online. He grows his own food. He makes his own bullets. He's all about it.
Yo, but some of the preppers, John, I'm sorry to cut you off. Some of the preppers they're not even believing it. They think it's a conspiracy. I'm like, I'll be damned. You've been prepping for 100 years, and you don't even believe this is real.
Right, but I will present to you the side that he presented me, and I've been, I was the guy that was like your co-host said, I was 2 days away from starvation. Like I had pickles, I'm good. So I've come a long way. He started showing me things like Mountain House and REI and the freeze-dried food, and I started buying. To me and my wife, we watched enough Cliff High that if he gets worried, I kind of get worried. You know what I mean? And
I heard Cliff broke down in tears at the end of one of the latest videos, man. I didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah, it's very shocking, and it's one of those things that it's like your co-host said again with the Kobe Bryant. You watch somebody for a long time, like yourself, and you kind of go, I don't know you. I don't know your favorite color, but I know you, So you do have a sort of connection there. Yeah. And, he started showing me all of these freeze-dried food places that are sold out. And he said, listen, the preppers are starting to freak. You saw those videos on Zero Hedge where they were at Costco, right? I think it was a week ago. It was on Twitter. And the lady's like, this is 8 a.m. We're just about to open. And you looked at the crowd, and 80 to 90% of the crowd was Asian.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, yep.
Maybe that's the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Just common sense, people. The Asians have family members that are telling them what's really going on over there.
Yeah, and you got to get ahead of the curve. When the head virologist stands up in a meeting and says, "Hey, folks, you need to get ready," then you need to get ready. They're already quarantining people in Italy. What did they shut down the top half? I mean, that's nuts. Who's to say that's not going to happen here? And if it doesn't, okay, all I did was pull that money forward, right?
Exactly.
You might as well just be prepared. And if not, we bought pasta, but we didn't have any in the cupboard, so we went ahead and broke our emergency pasta supply. It's like you said, I'm not going to die. I'm probably going to get it, but I want to make sure that I don't have to suffer.
Right.
I don't want to go stand in line with everybody else at Walmart to get water off of a carton from the military. Worst case scenario.
Exactly.
So,
New York State, just to jump in, New York State declares a state of emergency as the cases soar to 76, which is grossly understated. I said a week or so ago, I said New York City will be Wuhan 2.0 in my opinion.
That's scary because they're not going to behave themselves like a culture that's homogenous, like the Chinese.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. You're gonna have the cats in the hood bringing out the guns. You're gonna have the cats in the country bringing out the guns. It's gonna be a gun-slinging war.
Oh my God, bro!
This is not China here, people. I got my guns too, so yes, we will be busting some ammo. This is not China.
So I will add one more thing, and I'll quit stealing your airtime here, so to speak.
No problem,
us
John.
In the neighborhood, appreciate it. Us in the neighborhood that are more prepper mindset, we are buying walkie-talkies. I bought a Berkey water filter,
nice.
That does
6,000. You're right. You clean it, you're good, right? My prepper boss was like, we got one of those lakes in the neighborhood that has the fountains. He goes, you can go down there, fill that thing up, get you a T-shirt, filter it through the T-shirt to get all the heavy sediment, and then there's your clean water through the Berkey so you don't clog the filters.
See, that's the thing, man. You white people, man, y'all do that prepping stuff better than us. Black folks, man, we don't do the prep, and that's where I lack. Like, I don't know anything about filtering water. My wife did buy some droplets. There are some droplets you can put in water that does something to it or something. I don't know. She bought something, but we all are in different areas not prepared, and maybe it's at that time to kind of do some more research and figure out what's going on and how to best address this.
Yeah, and again, I'll keep calling him my prepper boss. He goes, you can drink pool water. If you run out of water somewhere, go and get those chlorine tablets that you use for the pool.
Maybe that's what you got. Yeah, okay.
But they're also talking about getting CB radios, and one of the ladies is a retired police officer. So she knows the codes, and they're going to go get the CB radio and a map so they can start marking down where things are happening, because the worst thing you want to have in a battlefield or anywhere else is lack of communication, lack of knowledge.
Yes.
And
yes.
to me, that was kind of like, that's pretty damn smart.
And you know, the thing is, John, like, I understand to a certain extent why the head of, you know, the people that kind of are the policymakers and the people that run this country might hold back a little bit, because there is a balance that needs to happen. You need to balance it between pandemonium and scaring people, where then you can't control things, and letting information come out. So I understand that. I'm not naive to that situation. But I think they're even I don't know. I think it's just pure ignorance, man. I don't know. I could be wrong, but the way they're acting and talking, the CDC is ill-equipped. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the whole test kit situation, the reason why that's a whole shit show is because the WHO, World Health Organization, had a test kit for them to implement, and they decided to go and say, no, well, we should go ahead and test for all three, MERS, SARS, and COVID-19. So they went with some gold-plated something system that they developed in-house, and come to find out one of the three tests is flawed, and that throws the whole test off. That's why they're behind. You know, it's that American exceptionalism thought, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we're luckily, during World War II, all of that was over there. We've never had anything really other than 9/11 and Oklahoma City bombing and, a few of the individual terrorist attacks and nightclubs and schools. Other than that, what have we had to endure? We don't have the Syria problem where there's wars overhead. We don't have Israel launching and Hamas, Mexico launching rockets into Brownsville. We're lucky in that sense that we're kind of isolated over here, and our neighbors are pretty nice.
Those Canadians are some nice people over there. So do you think, John, this is going to bring America together, or do you think it's going to divide us? Talking about the citizens. Do you think this is going to be a 9/11 moment? Like, we all kind of came together. We dropped there was no color. We all kind of came together, man. Do you see that being the case, or is this a slightly different scenario?
My wife says no, but she's from Greece and she's been here 10 years now. So okay. I guess she's not the American that I mess with her about all the time. I think once somebody like Kobe gets it, somebody that both sides look at, because if Donald gets it, whoever on the other side is going to be withering their hands, right? Like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. So I think once it's like, okay, this celebrity gets it, this sports athlete gets it, and we all kind of take it on a more personal level, you're going to start seeing it filter through the community. And that way, because, I don't like my sports stars and movie stars, being politicized or, at the Oscars, but everybody loves this actor. Everybody loves Kobe Bryant to an extent. And when your hero goes down, when J.J. Watt goes down, we're going to feel it here. I don't care what side you're on. So until it hits that level, people are still going to be apart.
Cellar Door says COVID-19 is the new 9/11. I agree. It is. It's the new 9/11, and it's actually worse, man. 9/11 was an event. This is an ongoing, perpetual event.
This is a pandemic at this point.
It's a pandemic.
Pandemic.
Absolutely. So it's even worse than 9/11, in my opinion.
Yeah, and now you've got that article on Zero Hedge where Saudi Arabia just said we're going to pump. And if oil goes down to $30 a barrel, I mean, I'm in the shipping business. We're hurting already. It's
like I said, really it's more than, this is the craziest Black Swan event. Like a Black Swan event is something that no one could have calculated, right? and this is it, because it hits so many different aspects of our life globally, from health to supply chains, economically. I mean, it hits every single aspect, man. It's just like, wow, like, damn, like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
It'd probably be this black swan event we'll have in our lifetime. And I was born in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So
the reality, though, CB and John B, is most of us, a good percentage of us, are going to survive the coronavirus.
Yeah.
But what it has revealed, it has pulled the financial tide out to reveal how many of us have been swimming naked. And I think it's going to take an exceptional amount of time for people to get back where they thought they were. I mean, the Ross Grubers of the world were taking victory laps, Tesla over $900. There were a lot of examples like that. And if you just look at the Depression based in real money, gold, it took 30 years for people to get back to where they were in the late 20s. So, for example, my grandparents were born, and then by the time their parents got back to where they were, my grandparents had kids, and they were in their 30s. So imagine us now, most of us here live are probably in our 30s, 40s. We're going to be elderly people by the time this market gets back to it where it was in real terms. And the lesson to be learned here is when you have a bubble this big, a world or global financial bubble, it only takes one pin to bring it down. And that's the reality of what we're witnessing. Sure, hopefully, my grandma, fortunately, is not in a nursing home, and I'm glad about that. If she was, I'd be very fearful right now. I think it's just going to spread like wildfire in nursing homes, and those people are most susceptible to succumbing to this terrible virus. But, the reality is most of us are going to survive it, but the financial aftermath is really, I think, where we need to be concerned.
Exactly. I agree. John B., thanks for calling in, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
All right, we got another caller. Hold on, 10 pound. We got another caller on the line. We're Crypto Blood, and I've got Phil on tonight. What's going on, man? Talk to us.
What it do? It's your boy O Flow. What's good?
What's going on, O Flow? O Fleazy?
Yeah. Yo, after this call, you gotta follow me, my bro, on Twitter. Yo, so check this out. I'm about to hit you with one. And if your live stream go down, it's because I'm hitting something. You feel me?
Okay, all right. Hit us with what you
all
got.
Right. All right. First and foremost, did you watch Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway speech thing, where his interview on CNBC
with Becky Quick?
Yeah,
I did.
The 2-hour one. The 2-hour one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. What was your perspective on what he was saying about the stock market and the coronavirus?
Well, he was kind of nonchalant about it. He said that he focuses on buying companies. I don't know if you recall, he kept saying, it's about, we buy companies, not stocks.
Okay.
He kept saying that. He kept saying we buy. But, one thing you got to remember, this should have been a sign for everyone. He went to cash like 6 months or 7 months ago, Phil. Mm-hmm. When did Berkshire Hathaway go to cash? They piled up like 100 and something billion in cash.
Right.
That should have let you know right then. Should have let you know right then.
So you going somewhere with that. But if you listen to that again, he says basically like, yo, if that opportunity to buy cheap is there, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So, he also said, I'm not wishing bad on anyone, but if specifically I can get a cheap price, I'm buying. Yeah. So we got to look at economics and business. When somebody's going through a negative situation, someone is profiting. So specifically, in this case where we have such a huge epidemic, who's being impacted and who's specifically profiting from that? Because no matter what's going on, money has to be made, correct?
So I mean, we can get real deep with that, man. Like, what is money? Money is just a transfer of value, right? I mean, I guess, you know, if you go that deep with it, yeah, the value is always going to be transferring back and forth.
Exactly. So even within the situation where we have an epidemic in such a negative situation going on, there's always going to be people profiting within this situation. Absolutely. So if all the shares go down to a low amount, somebody's buying those shares up. Mm-hmm. Somebody's positioning themselves in a better situation. And when I see a lot of the people I know in positions of power and wealth, they're preparing for this stuff. They're already looking like, all right, this is the time to be buying. This is the time to be investing in businesses that normally we couldn't afford. So,
well, the unfortunate part, I agree with you. The unfortunate part is most people in America, I'm speaking of, we're not in a position to be prepared. We don't have dry powder. I mean, people don't even have $400 to cover an emergency. So how are they going to, unfortunately, the rich are going to only get richer in this scenario on a reset, in my opinion.
Exactly. So we're definitely seeing that, and the exponential wealth transfer that's about to occur, mm-hmm. is going to be even more intense.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So my question is this. If all of that's occurring, what's the best positioning to put ourselves in? Because at the end of the day, we've got families, we've got friends, we've got to take care of our people at the end of the day. And the most realistic sense is to figure out, okay, how can we educate others in the situation that we care about and keep being profitable? Because we can't stop for anyone. And even with all these events going down, I know you have the South by Southwest got canceled. You know, that's a big music event and everything like that. They shut that down.
Yeah.
Like, I've been quite a few times. So just seeing that, it's letting me know, okay, a lot of money is being lost, but a lot of money is being made. And at the end of the day, that even if an economic collapse comes along, people are going to be financially benefiting from this. So,
but a very few, right? A very few, percentage-wise, will.
Yeah.
The masses won't. You know, that brings up another point. I believe that we will see fiscal stimulus, Phil. I think fiscal stimulus is on the way. There have been talks floating around for that. I think that should have been something we did in 2008. To be honest with you, we should have done fiscal stimulus back then. That's how you know that we at the end of the road, Phil, when they're starting to think about doing fiscal stimulus.
Are you talking about tax cuts?
Well,
not only tax cuts, they're talking about. Go ahead.
What do you think about the fact, though, such as like the laboratories? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of money going into that business. Pharmaceuticals, it's going to be a lot of money thrown in that direction.
Sure, I agree.
Hey, by fiscal stimulus, he means quantitative easing. By the way.
No. That's monetary stimulus. So fiscal stimulus would be giving everyone $1,500 a month for an emergency stipend, you know, for being laid off, because people are getting ready to get laid off here, people. We have to start preparing for this. You know, those that work for someone, you need to start thinking about, how do I, continue without having being able to work. So fiscal stimulus would be, the government writing checks to corporations to continue to pay their employees. Direct injection into the market, into our society. So that's definitely coming.
I kind of
tax
this.
Yep.
I addressed this the other day on Twitter. I'm a simple man, so I like to use simple examples. To me, that's no different than you're in the middle of a Monopoly game and some dude steps in with his money launcher and just dumps an extra amount of Monopoly money on the middle of the table. You didn't really create any more wealth. You weren't productive. You didn't create any more goods or services. So sure, in the immediate effect, you'll have what appears to be a stimulus effect, but in the long run, all you did was make matters worse. And eventually, when you reach the end of the road, like, absurd example, take Zimbabwe with the $100 trillion note, there's no trust whatsoever left in the economy. And that's when people start switching to things like gold, Bitcoin, silver, alternatives, right? These things are all hoarded until the time when it becomes.
But I have a question.
Go ahead, man.
I have a question about what you just said. How specifically are you going to get that stuff, though, without the current financial system that's already existing?
How will you get what stuff?
Gold, Bitcoin. The thing is that specifically, you're going to have to be tied into that system either way to get that stuff if you don't have the network already to get it, to trade your services, trade your skills for it. So to think that the system that we're already into is just going to crash and disappear, I think that's too far off into the future.
I don't think Phil's saying that. I don't think Phil's saying that this system is going to just disappear. Are you, Phil?
No, in fact, I think I'm more in agreement with your caller. We're going to experience a transference of wealth.
Yeah.
And they're going to move from things that we thought were stores of wealth to things that have been stores of wealth over time. Sound money, gold and silver. And even though Warren Buffett himself isn't a big fan of gold, he may be secretly purchasing it for all we know. I mean, he did that with silver before, and he made an exceptional amount of money on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he's doing again. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. But, wealth doesn't just disappear. It's merely transferred to other items. And that's why I always bring up that Dow gold ratio chart. I mean, that just shows you over time how the values or the perceived value of the market and gold have oscillated over a century. And I think, we had a nice run from 2011 until 2018, and now we're going back the opposite way. And in my personal opinion, we're going to see a day when both the Dow and gold meet at 1-to-1. It might be at 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, but imagine the day you wake up and you see potentially, $10,000 or $20,000 gold. That'll be the day where it probably will be time to start scooping up some of these high value or these, what does Buffett say? Exceptional value stocks.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to really get back into the stock market. This is going to be an opportunity of a lifetime, people. If anything, I think that's the closest way for us small fish to benefit from this whole situation is to buy stocks that have dividends. Buy a whole bunch of those shares when they crash. I see the Dow going under 20,000 easily. I see it hemorrhaging. Maybe even 15,000.
It's interesting that you say that. Yet at the same time, I think wealth producing assets outside of that economic system are also very important.
Like what?
So land, of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
That specifically is Warren Buffett. At least I don't know too much about him. Obviously, I've never met the man. Specifically, I know that he has invested in real estate and farms. So it's just things like that you can grow. You can grow your food. You can, produce assets off of it. It just makes the most sense because at the end of the day, yeah, if dividend stocks are smart and everything like that. But my question to you would be, do you have an idea of how low this economic system's going to go?
Are you talking
like currently with the crash and everything like that? Do you think it's going to go down?
Are you referring to like the Dow index price?
I I'm talking to let's say that, for example. Do you think it's going to go down more? And
Yeah,
if it's going to go,
absolutely.
okay.
Stocks are forward pricing mechanisms, and that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing now. Is it trying to price in future earnings not being what they were going to be? They're trying to price in future earnings with a coronavirus, with people staying home, with people not shopping and going to the movies, and all of that is I'm not saying it's over, but it's going to be put to a halt for maybe 12 to 2 years, 24 months easily till this whole thing shakes out. I mean, so I see the stock market, in particular the Dow Jones, heading lower, man. 15K, 16K, 17K, somewhere in there easily.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you got to buy. You have to buy up at that point. You have to, especially dividend stocks. I mean, it's going to pay off so great in such a great manner that, I mean, you're going to be set. You're going to be good.
So crypto blood, where do you see the economic system within the next 10 years?
I think it'll be fine. I think when you say economic, do you mean traditional markets?
Yeah, traditional markets.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Like I said, I'm not the world is ending type. That's not what's happening here. So I think it's gonna be a huge correction and a blip in an overall chart. I believe. I hope. I hope it's not the end of the world. The end of the world only comes once. So betting on that is not a. You don't want to bet on something that can only happen once. Statistically, it's just not in your favor. So, yeah, I'm betting that the world will continue. Jesus is not coming back, and you can profit from this situation hopefully. But first, we gotta, like I said, and that's my whole point. Like that's the problem with America. Like we focused on profits. We focus on Wall Street so much that we're going to end up killing more people than need to be. It was no way for us to stop this virus from coming over here, but we definitely could have done a better job at mitigating it and quarantining and isolating some of those individuals. Now it's too late.
So crypto blood, I gotta mention something, man. Do you think that governments are actually going to take into account for all the animals that get the coronavirus? You know what I'm saying?
I don't think that the only case that I heard that was that of a dog catching it was a very mild case, which probably he got from his owner, like licking his owner or whatever, licking his face or whatever. It wasn't in an amount that was transferable to other people. So I'm not too sure about any other cases other than that one that I heard about. So I don't know.
So what's the safest thing to be doing right now? Are we supposed to not be going outside and just do online businesses? I'm really looking to understand.
To be honest with you, I don't know. Like I think everyone's gonna get it. I really think like most people are gonna get it. It's just it's too virulent. It's too virulent, man. It's like 20 times more virulent than the flu. How do you stop that?
You can't. But here's the thing. Mentioning online businesses, that's a great point. VR is going to boom. VR is absolutely going to boom through this.
You think so?
Yeah, pandemic for sure. No doubt.
Why VR, though? Why not just people shopping online?
I mean, I think it comes down to these events and conferences literally merging into an immersive experience where they could still be with their colleagues, but in a virtual space. Physically.
Yeah, you just giving business ideas out this world, man.
No, it's like, I do a podcast with Bits and Tokens from Miami, where I am right now. And literally we had this discussion this week about how VR sector is going to boom. Also, Ben Stigman from the EO sector, I had a conversation with him about this on Facebook. He believes it's going to boom as well. Like we're just, looking at this.
What's my man name? Oh God, what's his name? He's on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, YouTube, really big. Oh man, The guy that wants to buy the Jets. What's his name? 10 Pound.
Guy that wants to buy the Jets, the New York Jets.
Yeah, he's been talking. That's like his lifelong goal. Gary V.
Oh yeah.
Gary V has been talking about VR. He's, I don't, you can have your thoughts. I have my thoughts about Gary V and how he conveys certain things, but I will say he is a visionary in that aspect because he can see things kind of out in the future, and he's been spot on about like podcasts. He said the podcasts were going to be big. He said that TikTok was going to be big, and it did become big. He's been right on a lot of stuff. So he's big on VR. He said that he felt like when he said that VR would blow up, he was a little premature with it, but possibly now because of the situation, maybe VR will pop.
Oh, absolutely. I think that more businesses are going to look at this medium and actually see it as a viable alternative to concerts, to business conventions, to actually conducting, actual press conferences as well within these places. And Microsoft is poised to profit the most. So, yeah.
I got another question for everyone that's online right now, man. And this is an interesting one. Do you think, I really think it's going to get so bad here, we're not going to have a November election. What happens then, Phil?
Well, I heard that before. This is an idea that pops up every election, it seems. Especially in the alternative finance community. I don't foresee that. We're going to have an election. The real thing, though, is for a blockchain audience, hopefully one day we can finally move in our lifetimes to just voting from home from our phones, right? I mean, that'd be far more convenient.
Right.
Yeah. But anyways, in the meantime, we still all have to go to a polling place. Yeah, I don't think that the election is going to get canceled. I'll eat those words if that happens. That would definitely surprise me. But
we're 9 months away.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. That's so far. I know it seems like life's going to end because this thing is so serious, but we're going to get past this. The real thing that we need to be concerned of, and I have a little bit of a more morose opinion of the economy. I think we're entering a greater depression. And, like I said there earlier, it potentially could be 25 or 30 years before a lot of folks get back to where they were in real terms, not necessarily nominal terms. In nominal terms, CB, potentially you could be wrong. I mean, if the Fed goes the Weimar Zimbabwe route, they could keep the stock market elevated at these nominal levels. They might make it go up to 50,000.
Well, I think only if they start buying stocks outright, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, nothing would surprise me. I mean, they could take their balance sheet to 50 trillion.
They're gonna do whatever it takes to keep the wealthy rich. So right. I see outright stock buying coming without a shadow of a doubt. It's coming because they only care about themselves in the grand scheme of things, not individually, but in the grand scheme of things, they only care about keeping the structure the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So we'll have to see what happens. But someone in the Lord Bain says no 2020 Olympics. I don't think we'll have a 2020 Olympics. They're trying so hard not to, and I think that's why, Phil. I think that's why the WHO, the World Health Organization, is not calling this a pandemic yet, because that will initiate the pandemic bonds that are out there. There are bonds that are have been created for an event like this. They would have to, those bonds would be activated, and I think that it would kind of cancel the 2020 Olympics if they call it a pandemic. I think that's why they haven't. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking about this before the show, CB. Imagine what it's going to be like for the first time in our lifetimes to potentially watch the NCAA tournament and hear nothing in the stands but the squeaky sound of Nikes on the hardwoods. I mean, that is going to be surreal. And they're already talking about it, that, they'll still have the games, but there potentially will be no fans. and just the psychological effect that that's going to have on the public. I just can't imagine. I can't believe we're living through something like that. It's surreal.
Yeah, and just to let you know, the NBA did report. Reportedly, there was a memo sent out to teams indicating that they should prepare to possibly play games in an empty arena. Yeah. So this is going around, people. This is not the flu, bro. No. If it was, they would not be taking these measures. I'm trying to tell you guys. We got a couple more callers on the hook here. Let's see who we got. I don't even know what place I'm in. So, caller on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood, and I've got Phil on with me tonight.
Who's this?
Crypto Blood, CB, and we got Phil. Who's calling in?
What's up? What's up, CB? What's up, Phil?
What's happening?
This is John Kim.
Johnny Kim! What's going on, brother? That's my man.
That's the crypto down.
A couple rounds for John Kim, man. What's going on, bro?
Wow.
Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
I was on with Kennedy the other day on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making an appearance on my little show, The Great John Kim.
Dope, bro. Hey, look, John Kim recognized real. You don't have to worry about him. He don't care about that.
Hey, hey, listeners! I want all you guys to know. Yesterday, the other day, me and Ben Askren. me and Ben Askren. We recorded our episode 12 of the Funky Crypto Podcast, and I said to Ben, I said, hey, my boy Crypto Blood. He's like, hold up, you know Crypto Blood? And I was like, yeah, I know Crypto Blood. He's like, you know him or that's your boy? I'm like, no, that's my boy. I know him. Yeah. He's like, I watch Crypto Blood. I've been watching him. He said, I've been watching him for a couple of years now.
Yeah, he has. I knew Ben really was watching me, man. I gotta get him on. I gotta get him on the show for a kicking this session. What's your thoughts,
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
What's going on, man, in today's society? Where are we with things, man? Are you concerned?
So the reason I called is because you were talking about people may play NBA games in an empty stadium.
Yeah.
So in Korea, it's already happening. All the TV shows are being taped without audiences, and schools are closed. There's literally like a car wash style where people can just pull in and they can get checked for the coronavirus.
But that's what we're not doing here, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. Like South Korea is a perfect picture of how to really tackle this head on. It's American exceptionalism that's got us jaded, and the hubris is just out of control, bro.
But let me tell you why America can't do what Asian people do.
Okay.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
See, in the Asian culture, like in China, there's no freedom, right? It's communist, so they're gonna lock you up and do whatever they want. Yeah. And you don't have to like communism, but I mean they're very effective when crisis happens, right? Because they can make people, do what they want them to do. Yeah. And in Korea, it's not communist, right? It's just like America. It's democratic, but Korea has this thing where when an older person talks, when a leader talks, people just listen because it's a respect thing, right? Okay. But in America, it's can you do it? Will you do it? It's like nobody's like can step out and be like, hey, everybody do this, and this, and there's so much freedom here that people are like, you can't tell me what to do, kind of a thing. So I think the strategy has to be a little bit different. In Korea, I mean, as soon as it hit, everyone just started to go crazy because, So everybody was like in unison and how to take care of this as fast as possible. And we just moved really fast. Korean people, it's a small country with a lot of competition. So people in Korea are overworked and everything about them is just fast paced, right?
This was something I was having a conversation with my wife about, and maybe you can help me out with this. In Korea, is it common for them, like in China, to wear a mask out of respect? If they have a cold, to wear a mask when they're in public out of respect for
100%.
Okay, see.
100%. I mean, you see people with masks every day, even without the coronavirus.
Exactly.
So it's like whenever, whenever you have a cold, a lot of people just wear the mask, just because they don't want to spread to other people.
See, that's so thoughtful. America,
but
we can't do that.
But you know what? I mean, here's the thing. I'm in Texas right now. I was traveling everywhere, and I wore my mask to New York City. I wore my mask on the airplane.
Good.
Bro, everybody looked at me like I was the sick one.
Yep. Yep. I already know that.
No one on the airplane.
That's what me and the wife were talking about. I'm like, if I'm black, if you see a black man with a mask on, you're gonna be like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? It's just a culturally, in America, period. Not even just talking about black America, but in America, period. It's a different culture, man. And unfortunately, I don't know, man. Is that gonna bite us in the ass?
You know what though? I do have a beef with this. I do have a little beef with this black lady in New York City. I was crossing the street. She was next to me. I kind of coughed like one time because water went down to my wrong throat. He said, "Ew, motherfucker, get the fuck away from me!"
Yep.
I
already know.
Damn, girl.
I already know, bro.
You didn't have to go. You didn't have to go there. All you had to say was "excuse you."
No, that's not. I already know, bro.
Yeah. So I wear a mask everywhere, but like every time I wear a mask because I'm Asian, they all look at me like I'm the one that's messed up, right? So I'm like, no, you guys over here.
Now, bro. I know now as an Asian in America.
Oh, we're messed up now. Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, so
you guys are like.
So I'm staying in Koreatown.
You guys are like the Arabs when. You guys are like the Arabs when 9/11 hit. Like.
Exactly,
man. I was looking
you
at
know
cats with the turbans on, like, dude, what the hell are you like? I'm ready to like, and it's just but that's just human. We're gonna do that, right? And it's not
exactly,
right, but it's just gonna happen,
exactly.
So it's crazy, man.
Judgment comes out naturally in our brain, and some people has to filter. Some people has to filter not to say it out loud. But as soon as you see something, the judgment is there, right? So I think going forward, Asian people are going to have a very hard time through this ordeal. Even when we come out of it and a lot of people die or get sick with it, I think they're going to blame the Asian people for bringing it over here. So
they are, especially the ignorant. I'm not even going to keep that.
But
to
you
myself,
know what?
But yes,
I mean,
I agree.
I'm glad I used to fight in a cage, right? Because don't talk to me like that because I'll put you to sleep and cough on you as I walk away.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
But yo, I just want to say before I leave real quick, Crypto Blood, man, from beginning to end, you've always been straight. You've always been like speak your mind and you never wavered. And I think a lot of people are recognizing now that you are speaking truth and you are really trying to warn people and being objective with everything. So I appreciate what you do, man. It was a good show today. I listened on and off. It was real good.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, bro. Stay safe out there, please, man. Peace and love, and just hit me up, man. Just hit me up.
All right, man.
Oh, man, get out of here, man. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yo, John Kim, I'm out.
See you, John.
All right, man. That's hilarious. Let's get the next
funny.
call. We got callers piling in here. If Phil, you got to take a break, go ahead, bro. We're going 2 hours
Sounds
now.
good.
So let's get the next caller on if I can find them. Call on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood. Who's calling in?
Yo, you put me back on. That's what's up. What's up?
Oh, no, wait. No.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Got to get the other pick. I got 2 more people, bro. I got 2 more people.
Overflow in the room.
Got to get back to you. Hold on. All right. Caller on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood. Who's calling in? Caller, you there? I guess not. Let's try to go to the next person. Carl on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood. Who's calling in? You there?
Yeah, what's up?
What's going on? Who's calling in?
Hey, this is a trader from Philly. Can you hear me?
We got a female on the line. About time. About time.
About time.
What's going on?
Yeah. So I work at a firm down on the Wall Street, Philly, whatever you want to call it, street on Market Street. And this is going to be a more technical kind of conversation related to bonds.
Yes.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
I work with people.
Did you hear me talking about the high yield, the debt, the bond market yields blowing out?
I did not. What did you say?
I just said that was happening this week, and maybe that was why Jerome Powell came out and dropped interest rate, the Fed rate 50 basis points.
Right, and then the initial response out of equities was like a no confidence kind of vote.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's fucking creepy about this. Yeah,
so what's going on in the bond market that you can tell us a little bit more about?
I'll tell you, about 6 weeks ago, our bond trading desks were liquidating out of emerging markets and high risk corporate. About 6 weeks ago, they started liquidating out of that shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what is it looking like now? Are yields really blowing out to the point where you're gonna have some fallen angels? Are you gonna have some fallen angels?
You know how normal mutual funds place out people with the 60-40 bullshit in their funds?
Yes, bonds.
So
equities.
Most people were kind of taught decade after decade that bonds is a safe haven.
Yep.
It's not right now. This is kind of, we're in that moment where everyone is piling in and then the rates are going to spike and blow them out.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And I'm just trying to think, what would be the catalyst to rate spiking and blow them out, right? And I think it's going to be some sort of fiscal stimulus from the Treasury. I am not sure if you understand the plumbing behind the POMO, the SOMA, and the repo. I'm not quite sure what you really understand with all of that.
Yep.
So the reason why
I'm loving this.
I guess I'll educate you guys a little bit.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
All right. So the reason why rates are just bottoming, making historic levels down, is because bonds. Okay, when I say bonds, I'm saying U.S. Treasuries.
Okay. Because
when the U.S. Treasuries out there in the secondary market, there's nothing. So all these primary dealers, institutional level traders are fighting each other to buy up these U.S. Treasuries. So right now, the bond market is acting like a commodity squeeze.
So let me ask you something. Is it actually illiquid?
It is.
That's what
we're also experiencing and seeing that there is a credit freeze in Europe right now. Wow. And I don't know. Okay, look, nobody knows why the repo shit started happening back in September and why it's continuing. And then it's being oversubscribed right now. Nobody knows why. And we're going to figure this shit out in about 4 months, I think.
Why 4 months?
But I have a couple conspiracies, though. my two conspiracies why this is happening is that there's some serious shit going down with the European banks. And I think it has something to do with Deutsche.
Yeah.
Right. Go figure. Right.
And then my other theory is that the U.S. Treasury just they are not auctioning off enough bonds to support the system, because now you have the Federal Reserve doing POMO, and they're buying out. They're buying out all those 30-year, 10-year, 2 years, 7 years, and they're taking it out of the market.
And
so what's happening is, yeah.
So question. So is that why they were trying to float out there a 50-year, and they're trying to get more? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
And no one wants to bite though, right?
Exactly. So you hear that shit floated out that, oh, we're going to issue out these 50 years, 100 years. Everybody laughed at like the 100 years and scoffed at that shit, right?
Right.
But then the 50-year proposal, everyone's like, yeah, okay, we can maybe jump on that. But then they're like, we're going to bring back the 20 years. We haven't issued the 20. Starting May, Mnuchin has been really quiet about this. I haven't gotten the details on it. We're all kind of waiting for it here, from the inside. But it's going to be issued out in May. And we don't know if that money is going to be taken away from the other Treasury auctions, or if they're going to somehow get they're going to budget in more stimulus to fund that. We don't know. We don't know how the Treasuries is going to happen. The 20 years is going to happen.
This sounds like the end.
Yeah, this is the end of the road.
Why?
This sounds like the end.
It's not the end. We're in like phase 2, all right? And there's 5 fucking phases to this.
$9 billion.
We're in phase 2 right now. This is where
$1 million.
Europe is going into disarray. This is where we're gonna somehow pump up and stimulate like the debt market. And the dog and pony show is going to continue to go on as the rest of the emerging markets are fucking imploding, speaking from the debt market side, the bonds.
Wow. I think that's what Mugabe thought in Zimbabwe.
Who is Mugabe?
He was the president in Zimbabwe. And, when they started rolling out like the 1 trillion note and the 10 trillion note, it all sounded like it was going to work. And then they said, hey, we're sending the 100 trillion note to presses, and that's when the bloom was off the rose. But I tell you, I tweeted this out the other day. I said, why would anyone loan money at 1.2% for 30 years to a nation of people who can't do math? There was that New York Times opinion, and she said, hey, look, if Bloomberg had just given everybody the money that he spent on his campaign, we'd all have like $1 million or whatever.
$9 billion.
And, the great
$240
CEO of Shapeshift replied to me. He said, because none of them expect to hold it for 30 years, they assume another buyer will take it. And that's kind of what our whole economy is based on now, is a greater fool theory.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, it's all based on confidence.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Since you're right there on the ground with it, you're ground zero with it, right? Can we go negative? Is that so? I guess my question is: will we try to issue new 20 years to prevent ourselves from going negative? I mean, we're basically there if they do the rate cut, the 75 basis points in 2 weeks. We're there, right? We're at 0.
It's going to coincide. We're going to be dropping the rates, and we're going to be issuing out the 20s, and then there's going to be an increase in the auction with what we have been doing. It's all going to coincide together. That's what's going to happen. So we're kind of doing this Venezuela shit right now, where like my CEO, he was sending out mass fucking emails the past 2 weeks. And the first email started with, oh, this is, just panic. It's another Ebola. It's another SARS. It's no big deal. It's just fucking fear mongering. And then like 2 days later, he sends out another fucking mass email saying, all right, these are the levels in the SPX and Dow, NASDAQ. We should find support and buyers here. I think we're going to bottom here. We don't know. And then like 3 days later, he's like, hey, on March 11th, everybody needs to join this webinar conference whatever time. And we're going to have a doctor, a medical professional to talk about the coronavirus. And then we're going to have a macro economist come out and talk about the supply chain disruption. They're fucking behind the curve, man. They're fucking behind the curve.
This is
but
insane.
The dudes, like everyone here on the bond desk, like we've already known this. We're already trading this.
Oh my God. So like,
I think we're doing a Venezuela kind of thing. I think it's going to be, right now, it's a massive head fake. Everybody's piling into bonds. Like everyone's going to the safe haven. And then what's going to happen is that there's going to be some huge fucking treasury stimulus package being floated out. And then the rates are going to fucking spike because there's going to be a massive new supply of bonds out there. And it's going to blow them all the fuck out. Anyone that is long and speculating bonds, anyone that is long and speculating bonds, you're fucking wrong. That's my poem.
Well, wow. Thank you for the call. That's some good insight, some insider news there, people. I hope you guys are listening. It may have been above some heads, but you get the gist. We're done. We're done. Venezuela style now. Wow.
Well, and then we're going into the final legs of the equities markets because there's going to be capital flight. Let's fucking talk about the equity side. There's going to be capital flight coming in here. Because once the fiscal package is being floated out, and then once you have the support on the monetary side, and then maybe the virus or whatever, that bullshit, like it will be contained, maybe, we'll see, coming out in the next couple months. You got to think like this virus thing, it's spreading around the world. It's creating panic, which is kind of covering up the global debt market collapse that was already happening. This is just covering up a problem that was already happening.
Or is it exposing it though? What do you think?
Well, it's exposing it, I think, to traders and very smart investors. Okay. But it's also kind of masking and covering it up to like the newbie traders and to like the average person that tunes into Fox News or CNN, whatever.
You talking about the Robin Hood traders that couldn't log in on Monday?
I'm talking about those. I'm talking about those fucking Tesla 1000, like those motherfuckers. like they don't understand how capital flight works. Like they don't, like, you know what? Listen, if you can find Herbert Hoover's memoirs, find them and read it, because building up to World War II, there was a similar fucking situation going on. And he described it as a bowling ball jumping between nations. And the bowling ball was capital. Because everyone was fleeting out of their nations, trying to find the nation that would hold it strong and not go under during this war of World War II. And that's kind of the situation we're in right now, because China's fucking going bankrupt. They've been going fucking bankrupt for like 6 months. But this virus is like, this virus is the fucking perfect,
right?
Exactly.
They've been doing more repo operations by a long. We're just now catching up to them.
Wow.
Yeah. These dudes, like over there in China, they've been having local credit like type union banks and firms going bankrupt for the last 6 months. And then now that this virus happened, it's like the perfect fucking excuse, right? To kind of like expose it and then smooth it over with liquidity. Yeah, that's the shit they're pulling over there. But yeah, like the Herbert Hoover memoirs, he describes the situation is there was actually government insolvencies happening right before World War II. And then the war was the cover-up. Right now, the coronavirus is the cover-up for all of this.
Wow.
This is like a true government insolvency issue that we're dealing with right now. It's already happened in China. I translate and do shit for Latin America. It's already happening in Latin America. It started about a year ago. And now that the coronavirus is on the scene, it's like, oh, we can't let a good situation go to waste. That's the way they're thinking about this. Because, Jerome Powell comes out and says 50-point basis cut because of coronavirus. No, fuck you. It was because the credit system was freezing between us and Europe.
Yeah.
If you look at the chart, pull up the fucking chart with the euro dollar, and then you'll see, what is it, like the 15th or something, right on the date, the euro fucking rallies against the dollar. Why does that happen? Because they knew the fucking the 50 basis points cut was coming. It's just to smooth over the credit freezing. It's still
so you're saying
liquidity.
On the 19th of March? I mean, of February? Of February is when?
January. Pull up the chart with the euro dollar.
Yeah,
it was like the 15th. It was like the 15th of January or February. You can see where it V bottoms.
Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. That's February 19th.
19th, okay.
Yep, the V bond. I see it. Yeah, I see it. So they knew the 50 basis was coming then.
Yeah, the 50 basis point cut isn't to prop up the market.
Let me ask you this.
It's about the credit freezes.
Did they know? So they probably thought the 50 basis point was coming at the March meeting, but he did it a little early. And do you think he's going to do another 75? That's what's being floating around now. Is he going to do 75 at the meeting in 2 weeks?
We're going to be cutting rates like no tomorrow throughout the rest of the year. We're like through into election. I would be surprised if we were sitting at 0.25%.
Wow.
We're going full Japan / Venezuela right now to keep this shit afloat.
So, one of my chat members, thanks for the super chat, Dow Jones and John Hill. John Hill asks, he's asking you, what should we buy as a kind of a retail person? What do we do? I know you can't really give financial advice, but what would you do if you were in our shoes?
What would I do? I mean, it depends on how active of a trader you are, of course. If you're somebody, the most conservative play here is to bet against confidence in government. So that would be gold and silver, of course. That's the only play out there.
So what are your
if you were an active trader, I would be waiting for the next leg down in the indices, USA terms and dollars, and buy that fucking dip, because the indices are going to go back to all-time highs by the end of the year.
Wow. Wow.
Right now, the markets are floundering around like a fish thrown on a boat, because they're trying to figure out a few things. They're trying to figure out how severe is the credit crisis in Europe right now. Will Trump be in or out due to his handling of the virus? and they're trying to price in how many points are going to be knocked off the GDP because of the virus. So is it going to be 2 quarters, 3 quarters? So the market is floundering around crazy because it's trying to figure out those things. It's trying to price that shit out.
And then you got the OPEC meeting that happened earlier this week, and Russia.
Wasn't that great?
Russia was like, wrong. Russia was like, I'm not doing nothing. Nothing.
Yo, we like for oil to bottom, we need like Qatar to get bombed or some other drone strike on Saudi facilities for oil to bottom out, because if Middle Eastern conflict doesn't happen, oil's gonna fucking drop to 30-something.
Wow.
30-something. Oil's going straight to 30-something. Like, unless there's some sort of conflict that happens every fucking time. Like, that was my joke. Okay, so I've traded oil for a while now, and it's been this running kind of meme that, all right, oil's gotten too low, it's hitting 50, 40 something, something's gonna happen in the Middle East. And then sure enough, it fucking happens and spikes it. And then that's when you sell the news. And now we're running into a problem where there's real global demand issues.
Right.
It doesn't matter what they do on the supply side. If the demand side is known to decrease, oil's fucked. So I wouldn't even try to long it here unless you know that there's going to be a bottom put in place.
I mean,
the only way a bottom is going to be put.
It just broke its bottom from 2018. This session on Friday, it broke it, right? So we're going lower for sure. I see what you're saying there. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you about your traditional market. So this is going to be interesting to hear your take on Bitcoin. What do you think about Bitcoin and how it plays into this whole situation?
All right, I got a few thoughts. One, I should give the disclaimer. I have never invested and traded in Bitcoin. However, a lot of my counterparties have and researched into it. So I've kind of sat back on the sidelines and observed.
Okay.
That's my disclaimer.
All right.
So my opinion about Bitcoin is Bitcoin now trades like gold did back
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, no.
No way.
NSA took her out.
NSA took, oh my, what in the world, people? You hear it? You saw it live. You saw it live, people. She literally got disconnected right when she was going to tell us what was going on with Bitcoin. Phil, man, that's a lot to take in, though, man. Hope maybe she'll call back in. But what are your thoughts about everything she said tonight, man? That was a lot.
As I was listening to her, I thought some of her sound bites are going to end up in a documentary about all of this. I mean, she was just so candid about the things that she's hearing and seeing. Frankly, it's almost a little disturbing for those of us who don't work in that industry.
That's
but
right.
I alluded to this the other day. I mean, Zero Hedge had put out an article about some of the chat that was going on about the VIX and how it was exploding. And then the market just suddenly pumped out of nowhere in the last hour on Friday. Right. And, these guys, man, I've met friendlier dudes in a casino. I mean, the way they were just callously talking about, someone got carried out of the pits on a stretcher. It's a little bit disturbing when you think that your nest egg is sitting with these guys. Like the way you're going to retire with dignity is basically being traded around like they're at a blackjack table or something.
And guess what? You can't touch it. You can't touch your own funds.
Right.
They got them in 401ks and all types of long dated, it's sad, man. The Wall Street is biggest criminal organization in town.
Yeah. Well,
In
the
my
one
opinion.
thing that where I probably would have disagreed with her is, there's an upper limit to this stuff. I mean, if there wasn't, then Volcker never would have raised rates in the late 70s, right? So they do risk potentially going the way of a hyperinflationary depression, at which point the pitchforks will come out. And I think that, cooler heads will eventually prevail. But if they don't, luckily, I always bring it back because we are on the Crypto Blood Show. I always bring it back to the fact that we do have Plan B. This one Twitter person, he was not the originator of this, but he sent this to Pomp. The Fed makes an emergency unscheduled rate cut in a flawed attempt to manage the economy. The last time there was a rate cut like this, October 2008, just 22 days later, the Bitcoin white paper was released. And that's just why I stay so optimistic on Bitcoin, CB. I think, we know of the Trace Mayers and the Richard Harts and, all the other guys out there who became like kind of household names in this community as a result of the wealth they accumulated in a short amount of time. I still think that's going to happen again. Not to that degree. There's not going to be like the 1,000 baggers, but I still think there's 100 baggers out there. And it's
man,
I
would have loved to hear what she had to say about Bitcoin. Not saying that what she says is gold, and but it would have just been interesting to hear her take and from an institutional standpoint, because we're all looking for institutional money to flood in. That's one of our theses, right? That's one of the things we're saying that eventually will occur. So it's just interesting. It would have been interesting to hear, and I mean, it got disconnected.
Yeah,
she didn't call back. So
was that your first female caller?
Second.
Yeah, we need to hear more from more females in this space.
We absolutely do. I'm sick of talking to you men.
Yeah, which by the way, as we wrap up eventually here, you're going to be on with two of them on my show on Thursday. You're going to be on with Naomi Brockwell and Heidi from Crypto Tips.
Yeah, that's going to be dope.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah, I guess we can wrap up here, man. Let me just the guy online. We're gonna wrap up, man. We're going about 30 minutes over what we were planned here. So epic episode though. I'm definitely gonna try to do some sound bites from the end with the trader there from Philly, because I think she dropped a lot of jewels there for people to hear.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah. So definitely, everyone, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again, Super Chat people out there. Appreciate the support there. A lot of the videos I do get demonetized. And definitely, if I'm talking about coronavirus, it's gonna get demonetized. Let me see. Phil, if you gotta go, you can go ahead and go. We may have the caller back on.
Yeah, I got to roll, CB, but I'll let you take the caller into the close. Thanks to everybody.
All right, thanks, Phil.
Letting me be on the show and share my 2 cents.
All right, man. Yeah, thanks, Phil. Call on the line. It's your boy Crypto Blood.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah. NSA tried to take you out there. NSA trying to take you out the game.
I don't know what happened with that.
So, Bitcoin. What is your take on Bitcoin?
Yeah, so before I got cut out, it's trading like gold used to. Okay. It's kind of trading on fears and uncertainty, high volatility. Gold used to trade the same way. Now gold only trades on government uncertainty, whether the government's going to be insolvent or not. That's the way gold trades now these days.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin, I don't shill it, to people because personally I've never traded it. I'm not as knowledgeable as I should be on it.
But just looking at it
from observing other people that it says see it. Yeah, I've seen that
it's a naked view, like from not touching it, is actually better. Like Virgin Eyes on the asset, like do you see that being another asset class that you'll see Wall Street or some of the debt market people jump into at some point?
I do see, okay, in these times right now, in a pandemic and risk of government insolvency, I do see the price is going to be bid up because a couple years ago, Bitcoin and all the cryptocurrencies, there was a flood of volume, and you need to investigate where the volume came from. And the most of the volume came from emerging markets because it was them fleeing their own local currency and their distrust in it. So right now it's kind of a gray zone because, perfect example, recently, markets were going down and gold went down. So a lot of people were confused on that. And it's because people that were in the indices, they were getting blown the fuck out and meeting margin calls, so they were liquidating
to cover the margin calls.
Yeah, to meet that. So that's the same thing I would assume that's happening with the cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't know how long that, process is going to go on. As if we're going to talk about forecasts going out 5 years from now, 10 years from now, listen, the open market cryptocurrencies, they're not really going to exist, in my opinion, because big banks are already in on it and central banks are already in on it. So, cryptocurrency is going to happen in our, I'm not sure. Have you seen that Justin Timberlake movie? It's called, Time something.
No,
have you seen that?
No.
Yeah, write this down. It's a Justin Timberlake movie. It's called Time something. And the premise of the movie is that encoded into your forearm, there's the currency of what you wage and own. And if you get down to zero, then it shuts off your heart and you die. So it's very dystopian, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of goes along with the cryptocurrency thing where they're trying to take out everybody that transactions in the black markets around the world and to be able to tax them and kind of have a hold on them. And I do think that's coming. Most definitely.
So you're seeing central bank issue digital currencies then?
Yeah, that's happening. It's already being drafted. It's in the fucking works. Everyone that's getting into these cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and stuff, thinking this is going to be the people's republic. No, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen unless there's some sort of, I don't know, global revolution that is knowledgeable about all this, which they're not.
Yeah, I don't think a global revolution is going to come because too many people are just dumb. They're sedated.
Exactly.
But my thing is though, so they can't stop Bitcoin though. I mean, they could put regulatory constraints on it, but it looks like they're opening up to it more so than
they're opening up to the technology and the idea of it. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. That's not going to be adopted and fostered by the masses. It's going to be, what's going to be adopted and fostered by the masses is what the government issues out in each nation.
Of course, but
that's my opinion.
But pricing Bitcoin against those newly issued digital currencies, I mean, it's still going to appreciate in value.
So you're saying, okay, so right now, though, trading it, sure, I think you could be profitable on the crises at hand. Mm-hmm. But if you want to talk about it being priced against central bank or government cryptocurrencies, We're talking, this is a whole nother fucking conversation.
Okay.
Because that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to let that happen.
No, they're not going to try. Right. It's going to happen like they can't stop cryptocurrencies though. I mean, the only way they can stop cryptocurrencies, listen, the only way they can stop cryptocurrencies is to scare people from using cryptocurrencies.
No, they're the ones that control the systems. They can shut it off and put it on as they want. I mean, we've seen this numerous times throughout history. So, I mean, I know like you run kind of like a cryptocurrency kind of show. I don't know. I mean,
what you mean you don't know?
I'm just saying, like right now, yeah, trade that shit. I think it's profitable right now in these kind of crises kind of times because there's going to be a lot of international capital flight looking for safe havens. So I think it's profitable in the meantime, but long term, no. Long term, you know how it is. The institution runs the game. And that's my opinion on that.
All right.
Because I'm already seeing shit drafted and the independent cryptocurrencies.
You guys got to make up your mind. You know what side of the coin I'm on, people. But it's always good to hear all sides of the conversation. So. It was a great... I
think, though, depending on how the shit show plays out that we're currently seeing, I do see a run into some sort of black markets, which has happened before in time. It's been documented. So I'm thinking maybe I can jump on your side of the argument. Because black markets have popped up and thrived before, and that's where cryptocurrency would be in play.
Right. So again, it won't. The masses. I actually agree with you. I don't think the masses will, if the governments, central banks around the world decide to, do their own digital currency, and which they are doing. I don't see the masses picking up Bitcoin like that. But I do see Wall Street playing with it. I mean, they've got the underpinnings there now, right? Like the
Wall Street right now, as far as cryptocurrency is going, they're in with
backed.
Oh fuck, man! They're in the World Bank right now. Like they're going with the Bank of International Settlements, because right now they're trying to cut out LIBOR. Like LIBOR's fucking dead. They're trying to cut them out.
So LIBOR, when LIBOR was exposed, that was the end of that. That the LIBOR fix.
Yeah,
that was kind of the end of the LIBOR.
Yeah. Like the way I'm seeing it being drafted on my side is the World Bank isn't on this. LIBOR's fucking dead. Bank of International Settlements wants to get rid of HIBOR and LIBOR, and each nation is going to create their own national cryptocurrency, and it's going to run just like the fiat currencies are running.
Yeah. Okay, one last question, because this is a good one. What is the benefit of doing a digital issue currency from a central bank perspective? Is it that they can control the supply like instantaneously? Because other than that, it's the same thing as what we have now.
It wouldn't benefit at all central banks. It would be the benefit of the government treasuries.
Okay.
Because the government treasuries are the ones that tax collect.
Right.
So it's pulling in new tax revenue from the black markets that already exist. So it would be in the benefit of the governments. Because you have to remember there's a separation supposedly, between the treasury and the central banks in each government, in each nation, excuse me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
So the benefit would be for the treasury.
Right? They're independent.
Yeah,
every
supposedly.
Other, we don't listen to anyone else. Yeah, I know.
So, like, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, like, there's really no, in my opinion, of course,
right.
It's not a bad thing or a good thing for central banks. Like, really, they don't give a shit. It really comes down to the treasury and the government, like the treasuries and the governments in each nation. Because because when you're going off into cryptocurrencies, you're trying to get around the inflation, and you're trying to get around the taxation in a way. You're trying to get around the money supply manipulation and the rates. So that's like where there's this gray area of fiscal treasury policy and monetary central bank policy. That's the crux of cryptocurrencies, is to get around that, because you don't want to be a part of it. You don't want your wealth destroyed and being fucked with, right? So really, when it comes down to it, it's the government treasuries that want a hold of this. Mm-hmm. Listen, like, I lived in Mexico for some time, and I'm not sure if your listeners know this or understand this, but in these countries, in my experience in Mexico, they have a thriving black market.
Right.
Like, I would argue to say about 60% of the money velocity that happens in their economy, 60% of it happens in the black market. Like, I would buy my food, I would buy goods and stuff through Tangies. And that's like tents outside, put up, cash transactions. Nothing that, like, all that money, none of that is reported to the government at all.
Wow. So
and that's like 60% of their economy.
So let me ask you about Maduro. Not Maduro. He's dead, isn't he? The other guy.
No, Maduro's still there.
Oh, Maduro's still there. The other guy's dead. The previous president of Venezuela. What do you think about the Petro coin? And they're trying to do they did their own cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that whole thing. That whole thing is a workaround from OPEC.
Okay.
It's like that coin thing. It's a giant fuck you finger to OPEC. But it's in my opinion, it's not going to last. And by the way, the shit Venezuela's doing, I know this sounds crazy, but I support what their government and people want right now. Because USA tried to instill another puppet leader, and the public said, fuck you.
Guido, whatever. Guado, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that didn't work too well.
They don't want that, and I do see a military conflict building right now, and don't be surprised that within this year you see headlines of naval ships are going to Venezuela, because I think it's happening. I mean, they're sitting on one of the world's largest oil reserves.
Right.
They have right now.
I didn't know they were one of the biggest producers of oil.
No, it's the reserves that they have. It's easily accessible reserves. It's like you don't got to frack for it and spend all this money. It's easily accessible. But like what he's doing right now, President Maduro, is he did like a stimulus package, sent it out to the farmers in the rural areas, and they kind of have these I don't know, like soldiers of agriculture. Like that's what's going on in Venezuela right now, because they got fucked from imports being blocked from sanctions, and they were kind of getting starved out from medical supplies and food products. And so the directive that he's taking with his country, which the country majority is fully fucking backing, is that they're gonna like pull themselves up by their bootstraps and do it on their own. And they don't give a shit about the sanctions or whatever that's being placed on them by the Western nations. So I mean, we tried, when I say we, the USA tried to instill some sort of puppet in there, but he got mocked and laughed at and thrown out. So I wouldn't be surprised to see any sort of military conflict building up. I mean, it's been building up for the last 2 years, but I wouldn't be surprised to see real headlines come out within the next year.
Gotcha. Well, wow. Great call. Thanks for calling in. Definitely call in again in the future to give us updates right on, right from the horse's mouth. You're down there. You know what's going on in the market. So definitely would love to hear more from you on that.
Yeah, don't long fucking bonds right now. That's all I gotta say.
I hear that. Well, thanks for the call, and
hey,
we'll
thanks,
talk to
you're
you
welcome.
soon. All right.
All right, later.
Wow, people. That was epic right there. So that's it, man. I'm tired. I'm going on 3 hours. This is the longest off the chain I've done. So we're out of here. My man on the line, thanks for calling in. Oh, Fleazy. Oh, Flo. If you're still there, thanks.
Yo.
Thanks for calling in, bro. I'm about to wrap up.
You already know, lots of love. I'm looking forward to that follow, my G.
All right, bro. To drop it in the chat room. Thanks.
For sure.
All righty. All right, people. That is it. Wow. That was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up though, for sure. Support the channel. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm gonna do some snippets from the lady that joined us tonight, because she dropped some bombs on us, people, like for real. So again, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, click that bell. Shout out to my Hooli gang, people. I love this song. I'm rocking this right now. Stacking my coin. I'm out of here, people. How?
Yeah. Face all in a box, nigga, Snapchat. Fucking with the ops to get you clapped at. No cap, nigga, back.
Stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Stacking my coin, stacking my coin. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, cash. I'm old school, Beretta.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks! We'll do it live.